Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Donna Just Being Real. My channel is all about dating, love, relationships, and toxic relationships that I talk about in advice channel. So if you're in need of coaching or you have any viewers requests, anything dealing with relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly, feel free to contact me. You can find my email address in the about page and in the description. All right, so this evening we're going to get into Mr. Andrew Tate again. Yes, I'm discussing Andrew Tate again. Yes, I am. Why am I discussing Andrew Tate again? Because this reason why. All right, Andrew Tate went on this guy's channel, and the name of his channel is, let me look it up. The name of his channel is Piers Morgan Uncensored. Let me turn down this music just a tad bit here, a little bit. All right. Hopefully y'all was able to hear me. All right. The name of his channel is called the Piers Morgan Uncensored. So I stumbled across this because I do watch a lot of Andrew Tate's commentary, and I've done some Andrew Tate commentary, so you can check it out. My past past videos, and also to the people that's watching replay, make sure you hit the like button, and the people that's here, hit the like button, and also share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. I would love to know what you think of this whole interview, and plus share your thoughts with me. What do you think of Andrew Tate and also his brother Christian Tate? All right, so he went on this Piers Morgan dude's channel. And they had an interview, and he was asking questions, and I thought that he was absolutely rude. Yes, I would say rude. That's why I said Andrew Tate versus rude Piers Morgan Uncensored. So this evening, co-host is going to be the real Jack Newtown, and then also I have Abby NYC too. So if you want to check out their channels, the link you can send you right there. It's in the description. It will send you right there. All right, so we're going to get back into a little bit about Andrew Tate. He's an internet personality. He really blew up big, and then he got, canceled, banned from so many social media outlets for reasons why I think is a bunch of BS. Basically, they saying is, oh, well, he's a misogynist. Oh, he like hate speech, and he's luring the young kids the wrong way. No, it's a bunch of BS. He's basically, his whole thing is about men. Get on your purpose, men. Do something with yourself. Don't sit around, smoke weed all day, playing video games and complaining. If you want the life, you have to build and get the life. And Andrew Tate, he could talk about that. Why do I say he could talk about that? Because this man, him and his brother, let me show you a picture of his brother. Him and his brother, and that's their father right there. Him and his brother, well, basically, they grew up and they didn't have anything. All right, so they were struggling. The mother got divorced from the father. Let me show you a picture of the family. Okay, there go the family. We got on your left, that's Christian Tate, that's Andrew Tate's younger brother. Then you have mommy, the sister, Andrew Tate, and their father. So they got divorced, and they had hard times and struggling. And also when Andrew Tate and his brother was growing up, they had hard times struggling. So they came from nothing, basically homeless. All right. He's a world champion kickboxer, Andrew Tate, and also his brother did kickboxing and a couple other things. But just watch my past commentary. We're not going to get all into that one. If you watch or look it up and stuff, you can learn more about them. This is Andrew Tate and his brother. But we're going to be focusing on this guy right here when he went on his channel. So I'm going to play the video. And there'll be times I might pause, or Jack might want me to pause, or Abby might want me to pause, so we can just, give our reaction, because this is a reaction video to this commentary. So, ladies and gentlemen, just give me a second here while I share the screen.
Hey, everybody in the chat. Oh, I don't type into the chat area. That's not backstage chat. For some reason, I don't get to chat with everybody else. But I just want to say hi to everybody coming in. I see a lot of familiar names and some people I always love to see.
Okay. Let me greet real quick to the people in chat that I'm gonna jump into it. All right. And of course we have there go Jack. There he goes. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Yes, please
Sugar
subscribe.
Daddy in the house. Hi, Sugar Daddy.
Oh my god, I love Abby. She's crazy. And make sure that y'all like I said, hit the like button and also feel free to share your thoughts and opinions. All right, and BG, hugs and kisses to you, beautiful. We got BG up in here. And Mr. Williams, we have you up in here too. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so let's get into this commentary, okay? Now I'm going to share the screen, ladies and gentlemen, because this is something else, boy. Just totally peed me off. All right. Hold on a second. Let's get it.
To Donna, Piers Morgan Uncensored, one of the most infamous men in the world, Andrew Tate's misogynistic tirades have been viewed billions of times online. He's now been effectively banned, though, from the internet. He doesn't think that's fair. Tonight, I'm going to try and work out if it is.
From London, this is Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Well, good evening from London and welcome to a special edition of Piers Morgan Uncensored. Andrew Tate, one-on-one. He's the most famous man you probably never heard of, with billions of views online. At one point this year, more people were searching Google for Andrew Tate than Donald Trump or Kim Kardashian. A former professional kickboxer, he was kicked off Big Brother in 2016 after a video emerged of him striking a woman, in what they now both claim was a consensual sex game. He's since made millions as a pornographer and casino owner in Romania, but it's his online videos that have made him notorious across the world, posing as a playboy with fast cars, cigars, weapons and cash. He rants about his often scandalous views on women.
Or instruct a female to provide sustenance. Cook.
So I think my sister is her husband's property, yes.
Tells young men they can get as rich as him by paying for his digital life lessons.
I have 100 business tips I'm going to teach you, which will allow you to make your own money instantly.
But amid a global media backlash, the net has closed on Andrew Tate. While millions still share his videos, he's effectively banned from the web, booted off Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. To his fans, he's a misunderstood satirist and the victim of big tech censorship. To many others, he's a malicious misogynist. Tonight, I'll try and get to the truth. Well, some of the opinions Andrew Tate shares in his videos are undeniably deeply offensive. We're going to show you some of them on this show. I think you should see them for yourself, not simply hear what he says about them.
That's coming from a racist.
About them. Tens of millions of people across the world follow Andrew Tate.
Dried out English
comes a big responsibility, as well as a public interest in holding his views to account. If outrageous opinions are read aloud, they can be challenged and exposed for what they are. If they're silenced, the person holding these views can become a martyr. So that's why I invited Andrew Tate to come here tonight, and he joins me now live. So, Andrew, well, welcome, first of all. You come all the way from Romania to do this interview.
Correct.
What do you hope to achieve from this interview? Why are you here?
It'd be interesting to have a conversation with you. You've certainly been the subject of your own divided opinions in the world. There's a lot of people who would say some of the things you say are perhaps dangerous or toxic. So I thought you'd be a good person to speak to about this subject.
I didn't know much about you before this year, and then I suddenly became very aware of you, as the world did, because, as I said earlier, you were the number one subject searched on Google ahead of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was even possible. Yeah. Why did you get suddenly so popular stroke infamous, do you think?
I exploded. I certainly didn't do that with magic. I've been on the internet for a very long time. I think in the world we live in now, as the other side, the people who disagree with me, as they get more and more tyrannical in their censorships and their hate mobs, etc., as standard masculine practices are deemed toxic, I didn't put a magic spell on everybody. I managed to accumulate a large amount of affinity with the male populace across the Western world because I'm simply saying things that many men believe, think, and feel.
The problem I would say is I want to play you just a clip off the top. This is from Joe Rogan, who's somebody I absolutely love.
Sure.
And I think it explains to me what I presume my issue with you is going to be, right?
Correct.
And you
right,
you have absolutely got the right to try and persuade me otherwise.
Sure.
But Joe Rogan said this about you.
My 12-year-old and my 14-year-old asked me about Andrew Tate.
And
my
what'd you say?
14-year-old
What'd you
asked
say?
me, I said he's a legit world champion kickboxer. I go, I like him a lot. Why do you like him? And I was asking him. They said he says a lot of funny stuff on Twitter and TikTok. He f***ed up with the misogynist stuff.
Yes.
Because if he didn't do that, if he just did the pro-male stuff.
So I thought that was interesting because when I've gone over everything that's been at the center of the debate about Andrew Tate, I come down with Joe Rogan in the sense that there's a lot of stuff you say I agree with. You know, I've got 3 sons in their 20s. It's not easy actually being a young male in the modern world. And I think a lot of the things that you say about that can resonate with them. The problem comes with the, I don't know, 10, 20% or whatever of your output, which on the face of it appears to be blatant misogyny. And when you couple that with your massive influence and huge reach, that is why the social media companies have decided to effectively cancel you. I don't believe in cancellation. I don't believe in censorship particularly. That's why I've invited you to come on the show. But I do think a lot of the things you've said are blatant misogyny. Do you accept that?
So you made a very interesting point there. You just said on the face of it appear to be blatantly misogynistic. I understand that on the face of some of the long format content I've made, if you're going to take a few seconds out of hours, chop it up, put it all over social media, accompanied with my massive fame, then things can absolutely not be taken out of context. I do not hate women in any regard. I have no negative relationship with women. No women have come forward saying I've hurt them. I have no criminal record for hurting women. There's no way I can be seen as the face or the devil in regards to how men treat women on the planet. I'm absolutely and utterly the opposite. I believe in protecting and providing. I've been misunderstood. There's been large contingents of people who have tried very hard to purport lies about me. And the truth of the matter is I've been producing content for a very long time. Hours and hours of videos been cut down to 2 or 3 seconds of clip.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now, everybody's getting upset about Andrew Tate and his statements and called him misogynistic, and he should be banned on, he's being banned on multiple platforms. But think about this. Charleston White, for those who know who Charleston White is a YouTuber, big social media now, from Fort Worth, Texas, who even admitted on tape, and I played this on Big Go, that it's okay to rape a woman. That he says that some women need a raping. That's Charleston White said that. And he still has a social media platform on YouTube, but yet YouTube has not banned Charleston White from making comments on that some women needed to be raped. Even admitted to his mother that, yeah, I raped some women. And then he went as far as says, yeah, we rape white women and little boys. And we can play that if people want to, but if people want to believe that. But Charleston White is not being banned on YouTube. He's over there snitching on everybody.
Yeah, he's been on more than ever lately.
He's been telling on people because he gaslights the situation and then turns around and calls the police when they respond to his gaslighting out in the street, Dallas, Texas. But yeah, Andrew Tate talks about how to be a man, and men need to do A, B, C, D, and E if they want the results they want in life. So I don't get why the social media will come together and get rid of him, but they should have came together and got rid of Charleston White.
I also wanted to add, because I was going to pause too. Thank you for sharing that one, Jack. I also want to add is, you see, so many people want to judge this Andrew Tate because they see in little clips. That little 30-second clips. That's why I'm not too much of a TikTok person. I watch it. I might use some of them just for like commentary to bring up a conversation or whatever in relationships, but I'm not really a TikTok person because it's too short. And so many people is judging him. They haven't seen the reason why he said it, what he said before it and after. So they go by this little clip and they're like, oh my gosh, he's a misogynist. Oh my gosh, he's this type of person. But why did he say that? No, you didn't. Okay, we're going to resume.
Those clips have gone viral and people misunderstand me.
But I think you use this phrase and be taken out of context, and I'm not sure that is correct in the sense that it still comes out of your mouth. And some of the things some of the things you've said, I just think are blatantly.
Well, let's do them. Let's hear them.
Let's go through some.
Sure.
Right. So you said this about Me Too stroke rape. This is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania. In Eastern Europe, none of this garbage flies. You go to the police and say he raped me back in 1988. They'll say, well, you should have done something about it back then.
Yeah, so the point I was making was obviously at the height of the Me Too scandal, and also if we look at Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, there's been a lot of high-profile cases where men have been accused of things they did not do without evidence, and their lives have been completely and utterly destroyed. Right. When I say these things, people sit and say that, oh, he hates women. I don't hate women. I think rape is disgusting. I would take a stronger stance on rape than the British government. I think these people should face the death penalty. But to sit and say that women without evidence can go forward and just make up accusations against men, even though they've been repeatedly proven to destroy men's lives at will, is absolutely and utterly.
What about a woman who was raped back in 1988 and goes to the police?
Then the man should face absolute and complete justice.
But you understand that when that clip appears on TikTok as a clip, and all right,
as a clip, completely
okay, but it's still something that came out of your mouth. Do you accept that when that appears on TikTok, a lot of young, maybe not as smart as you, young men?
Oh yeah, about Joe Rogan. He was just using Joe Rogan as an example. But as far as with Piers Morgan, he can't really speak on a lot of these situations because he has endlessly harassed Meghan Markle ever since she ghosted him years back before she met Harry. And he has consistently harassed her. He has consistently called her names. He has consistently talked about her looks. He has consistently talked about her femininity. He consistently just berated her, degraded her, called her a liar 50 million times, bringing her racist wheelchair sister to be interviewed, bringing her absent-minded, foolhardy father to be interviewed.
About the rejection.
Yes, absolutely. So, Piers Morgan is a total hypocrite. He's like the Pharisees of the biblical times. He tries to stand for something, but yet he's doing the same thing that he's trying to stand up against. And that's why he got chased out of the United States by Alex Jones. Alex Jones ran up on him and, punked him out in his own interview. And that's on paper, and that's on tape too. That's on paperwork as well. And then he turned around when he was on the Good Morning Britain, and he ended up walking off when he got challenged by a real man who got challenged by a real man about checking him about why you keep ridiculing Meghan Markle. What has she done to you? And he didn't have an answer. So he's a prime example of a misogynist, sexist, bigot. And he was too cowardly to stand up to that man that called him out in his face, 3 feet away from him, on Good Morning Britain, and all his punk behind could do is walk out off the stage like a coward that he is, because he knows he's going to get knocked out if he was ever to come in his face.
Thanks for sharing that one. Okay, I resume.
Right? Impressionable teenagers will read that and go, what's he saying? Is he saying that rape doesn't exist?
No, I completely. I'm not going to sit here as a professional and say that I can't be taken out of context. What I will say is that one small sentence you've taken was from a 1-hour video where I explained that, of course, rape is disgusting. Of course, everybody should be punished for their crimes regardless of when they happen. But people are not perfect, male and female. And if you give women the opportunity to destroy men's lives without evidence, there's going to be a contingent of women who will do that. I'm trying to make a balanced and nuanced argument in a world where people have no attention span. They're going to take a few seconds, put it online, decide someone's good or bad, not be interested in the longer format video. And here I am. No, I'm certainly a person who takes personal responsibility. That's who I am as a person. But we live in a world now with TikTok videos 5 or 6 seconds long. There's no content.
Do you think women are the property of men?
No. The point I was making.
Why have you said they are?
Because I made a religious point. I said that when a man marries a woman, the woman's father walks her down the aisle, and hands her away to the man. Traditionally, this is what it says in the Bible. I'm a religious person. I believe in God. I live in the most religious country in the world.
That the woman becomes the man?
I think she takes his last name.
I mean, let's watch the clip that you said about
Sure.
this so that we can get it in context.
So I think my sister is her husband's property, yes. When a bride is walking down the aisle to marry the groom, the father walks next to her and gives her away. True or false?
That,
Right,
absolutely.
But I've been married twice, as it turns out, and on both occasions, I didn't believe that the woman was being handed to me as chattel, as property.
Perhaps the way the reason I'm asked that question.
You see, this Piers Morgan, you taking things too literally. Where did he say cattle? It's not about cattle, and it's facts. Okay, that's why when it comes to when there's a marriage and the woman is the bride is the one who pays for the wedding, the family pays the wedding, because basically saying is that when a man takes the woman, taken away from the father, so the father is no longer taking care of her, he's going to take care of. So that's why she's paying for the wedding, and he's supposed to take care of for the rest of his life, is providing, protecting. I don't think that this Andrew Tate is going at the angle of it's his property. I don't think he means it literally like it's property, like it's a cattle. See, this guy was really getting on my nerves. He's trying to go somewhere that's just not making no sense. And another thing too is why using the sister for example? Give some other examples. Watch and see. He only keeps focusing on the sister. So annoying.
Can I say something?
Oh yes, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
think that the best thing that's going to come out of this for Andrew Tate is to watch the wordplay. And I think that the wordplay works well with him when he's doing his Hustlers University and certain types of things where he wants to make a point. But I think when he has discussions with people, the wordplay harkens back and is very triggering. And I think he could have got his point across without using the word property. And I think that is where people think of definitions of property as not human things. And if they are human things, they start thinking back to the days of slavery. So I think it's kind of ironic that this is the first thing that comes out, and it is bad wordplay. If he was dealing with it in a biblical sense, then I get where he's coming from. I'm sure he made that point in his long 2-hour thing that he was discussing it, and it became property. But that's something I think he should have went into explanation about. And if he had gone into explanation about it during that 2-hour thing where they took that clip from, then yeah, then that's not cool, because like I said, the world is full of very short-minded people with short attention spans that don't want to hear the whole story. They just want to take out what they feel is offensive or what's triggering and run with it. And I don't think it's fair to him in the entire scheme of things. But if anything comes out of this conversation with this English muffin and the way he's approaching this, which is really to put him in his place about his wordplay, the choice of words that he's using that can be very triggering, will be that in the future, he will be much better at getting his point across and knowing what words to use selectively to get it there. I think it's only going to help him in the end.
And every time, like in this interview, every time Andrew Tate tried to explain stuff, he keeps cutting them off. See, that's what's so rude. You ask a person a question, let them answer. But you have a great point. See, I just look at what certain things people say their words. I don't get all crazy, but people's attention span is short. They hear one thing, they just, oh my gosh, they just start jumping, they get crazy, but not trying to find exactly where it came from. But great point, Abby, great point. Let's resume.
Repeatedly, and I'm asked in a loaded way.
So would you rephrase what you said there?
Now, that's an interesting point about phrasing. The way I would say things before I was famous, I have to take personal responsibility and accept that if I make a video that 500 people see and 1% of them misunderstand it, that's not a problem. If I make a video that 5 million people see and 1% of them understand.
So specifically on that point, I think my sister is her husband's property.
She took his last name. She married him. She wanted to join his family. She has said it herself.
Right. So she's
still a sovereign individual. She's absolutely not a sovereign individual.
Property means that the husband owns your sister.
Listen, my friend, if we want to argue about this, you need to go back to the Bible, to the Quran. You need to argue with religious.
No, I'm not talking about anything in the Bible or Quran.
But that's what it says.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I think that if a woman marries a man and she decides to take his last name, that they have different roles and responsibilities within that marriage. And I believe that.
That's not the question.
I believe the father. The father hands her.
Don't behave like a politician.
The father hands her to the man.
Right, but don't be a politician, because I think you're a straight talker, right? You keep
telling
me.
Hold 1 second.
I think my sister is her husband's property. Do you regret saying it like that?
I understand that with my newfound fame, perhaps it could be phrased differently. However, I still believe that
Didn't Piers Morgan say, "What is your interpretation of it?" And he was trying to give his interpretation of it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But yet he is now. He says, "Oh, you're just like a politician."
Right, because
Sir.
in actuality, he wants him to address the specific word that is very triggering, and not to give the backstory, and not to tell why he considers it an old time sort of property thing, where that it is interpreted in biblical scripture in that regard. But we've come a long way from that, and I think that all those things become very triggering to people, especially. You know what I'm saying? I think he's teaching him. He doesn't want to admit it, maybe in the long form, but I think at the end of it all, even if he battles with this guy, which he will, about his choice of words, I think it's only going to teach him that in the future, because he knew in the past, before he was famous, he could probably say a lot of things, and as soon as people keyed in on him, every damn word that came out of his mouth was going to be an issue. So now he's going to get his point across the same way. He's just going to pick better choices of words. So the only thing that comes out of it is this anal retentive English muffin coming after him with all his hypocrisy. It's a good thing for him.
Yes, you're right. And actually, Abby, there is also in the Bible, it says that women have dominion over them. The wife has dominion over the man. And that's in the Bible. So does she own him too?
Exactly. So as a man, he's only picking out the things that actually trigger him and bolster his point. So see, this is why he's talking about, but then it goes in line with his very focused, laser focused idea of masculinity training. It's a man's perspective. It's a man's this. It's a man's that. We're not looking at the bigger picture. We're not considering certain aspects of the women. It's just a laser focused sort of, I don't know if it's misogynistic, but it's definitely concentrated on the idea that there are no outside entities that can come into this idea that is strictly a male perspective. Yes. So you may read this Bible scripture that also mentions women and things like that, but he's only laser focused on anything that pertains to strictly men. And I think that that's where, he doesn't want that bantering. Now that's a banter back and forth with a woman that he may get with, since, he's into his, in his idea of his religious teachings, to bring that up and say, well, look, XYZ, or some other woman that wants to challenge him. But there's something about this guy, Piers, even as we go along, he seems to be a little afraid of something. I got a little fear of something. And as we go along, I want to ask you about that, Jack. But for now, that's where I get it. Like you're coming at him from a perspective. Well, look at this in the Bible. It does mention women, blah, blah, blah. But he's not. He's definitely laser focused when everything becomes about a man.
And for those out there who do not believe what I said, you can go to the King James Version Bible. It's 1 Ezra 4:22 that says, "By this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do you yet not labor and toil and give and bring to all the woman?" That's biblical.
Exactly. But he's not coming from that perspective, because he's only laser focused in the idea of male training and male masculinity.
Oh, he'll do it. He'll do it. Well, Piers would do it at his convenience. I mean, it's like selective.
No, but I think it's an amazing debate for a woman that wants to get on him and definitely challenge him on the Bible. Absolutely. Because this is the construct he claims that this property thing comes from, right?
Jack and Abby, let me resume a little bit more. We don't want to go too deep into that one, because I want to finish off this one. I'm gonna resume. All right, let's get it.
Woman is given to the man in marriage. That's what I believe.
Yeah, but not as property.
No, the property is the word that other people use when they ask me the question.
But as an equal partner in a loving union. That's what marriage actually means. It doesn't mean that when you get married, the woman is given to you as a bit of chattel.
Agreed.
So why say it?
But that's the way that people ask me the question. People say to me, they ask the question.
Hang on. You can't blame people for asking you questions. Surely if you want to be accountable for what
Sure.
you've said, you've got to own your responses, not blame the question.
I own the response.
Like me asking you a question now, and you say something, and then say, "Well, actually, I blame you for asking."
I understand, Piers. Piers, I understand. I believe the woman is given to the man. I believe she's given away by the father. I believe she belongs to the man.
So
If she belongs to the man.
fundamentally, all right. So fundamentally, you do believe that a woman becomes a man's property.
I believe she belongs to the man in marriage. Correct.
Right. Oh, you see, that to me is misogyny.
And you're entitled to your opinion.
Right. But do you not understand why people think it is misogyny?
I understand why some people can be very offended by what I say. What they do is they take a point like that and they ignore all the other points I make the other way around.
Yeah, but that's why I've repeatedly asked you about that line to see if you've changed your position. But the reality is you haven't.
It's not about changing positions. I'm a full-grown adult and I stick by the things I say and I'm responsible for them.
Which by the way, is fine.
Absolutely.
But what you did say at the start of this little exchange, you said, I wouldn't maybe say things the same way now that I did before I was famous. And yet, actually, you've doubled down and said exactly the same thing.
On certain points.
So that is what you believe. And that's my point.
Yes.
I'm trying to work out, look, I don't know you. We've
Correct.
just met, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out who Andrew Tate is and what you actually believe. I don't want to twist anything at all.
Then let me make it very, very clear to the camera. I believe a woman is given to the man in marriage. I believe that. I also believe a man has a duty to protect and provide for her. I believe a man should lay down his life if something happens or his wife's life is threatened. I believe that women and children first are on the lifeboats.
But men,
I believe that men.
But a man doesn't own a woman.
It's not. No. It's
unless they literally buy them as a slave.
Well, obviously, we're not talking about that. We're talking about religious, biblical marriage. We're talking about something else.
Yeah, but I'm a Christian. I don't believe that I own my wife.
Do you believe your wife was given away to you when she took your last name?
I believe that there is a process where a father traditionally walks his daughter down the aisle and hands his daughter to this man, and they stand there and become a union of two loving people in a partnership. No, there's no ownership involved.
I didn't say
he's not selling her. The father of the bride isn't selling his daughter.
No, absolutely.
That's what property means.
She becomes a member of your family.
Is it?
I think we're arguing over semantics.
We're not, though, because fundamentally, I don't believe a man owns a woman. You do.
Well, I don't think a man owns any sovereign individual. I don't think we live in the world of slavery. I don't own any men or any woman.
Right.
Nobody owns
When
anybody.
you use phrases like property, that's what you imply.
I understand.
And so my point again is, you're a smart guy, right?
Correct,
There's no denying that. You're smart. You're a good talker. I've seen a lot of the stuff. But what I don't think you quite fully understand.
No, I understand very well.
When
Piers.
young, impressionable people
I understand
who
that
are
very
not
well.
as smart see things like, I think my sister is her husband's property, yes, and you've just reaffirmed that belief. They think that they have the right to own women.
I understand that very well, Piers. Which
That's
is why
people
pause
think
there
you're
for a second.
I understand all of this very well, which is why when you're saying I was backtracking.
If they're property, then why can't they get? Then why you can get a letter of divorce then? If they're property, think about that. Even if you own land, you don't technically own it because you got to pay taxes on it each year. If you don't pay taxes on it, they'll take it from you.
Good
Just
point.
like you don't take care of a woman, eventually she'll leave you and find somebody else.
Great point. Resume.
I'm not.
Do you have any regret, though, over the way you phrase this stuff?
Well, this is the point I was trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is when I was not nearly as famous and I was making content, I was sitting there anticipating I'd become the most Googled man on the planet and that a few seconds could be taken out of context. That was not my anticipation.
No, but it's
I
still
didn't
what you
plan.
believe. It's what you believe now. So what's the difference?
It's not about, you're asking me, you're saying that young people who are
If
impressed.
you said to me, look, Piers, honestly, I've had time to think about this, and I wish I hadn't said it. I don't believe that. That's one thing. Actually, you've said the opposite. You said, actually, that's what I think. Yeah.
I think that when
it doesn't really matter whether you recorded it when you're famous or not famous. It's what you actually believe, right?
I believe that a man has a duty to protect and provide for a woman. I believe that a woman's father gives her away to the man. That's what I believe, and that's in my marriage. That's the circumstance I'm going to live under. If people want to live in a different scenario, that's completely theirs. Their prerogative.
You went on to say about authority over women. If I have a responsibility over her, I must have a degree of authority.
Yeah.
For the same reason, if I have responsibility over and people are going to use their mind, it's an example, an analogy. Responsibility over a child, I have to have some authority.
Yeah.
So you believe as part of your ownership or your property of the woman, you have authority over her.
No, I believe if you have
That's what you said.
I believe if you have responsibility over something, you have to have a degree of authority. Or you can't be responsible.
Yeah, but authority means, again, that you're the boss.
The point I'm making, if you'll please let me finish
Sure.
at this point, the point I was trying to make was talking about the safety of a woman. She was walking alone at night. And I was saying, well, I wouldn't let my woman walk alone at night. And they said, well, you're not in charge of her. You don't get to decide what she does. I said, I understand. But if I'm responsible for her safety and I'm the person who's burdened with making sure she is safe, I have to have the authority to say, don't put yourself in unsafe situations. The two things are linked.
Well, you don't have authority. You have you can absolutely have the right to say to the woman you're with, I don't think you should. But ultimately,
if she decides, then I can't force her.
Right. So authority implies that you have the ability to control someone.
No, authority believes the authority implies that I have the moral right to sit and say that that's an irresponsible thing to do, and I'm responsible for.
That's not what authority means.
Well, I'm not going to. If you think I'm going to lock somebody up in their room, is that what you're implying?
No, I don't think you know what authority means.
I know what it means. I'm saying that
it's a different description of what authority means.
If I have responsibility for her safety, then I have to have the authority to tell her not to do unsafe.
Yeah, but authority means that you have some form of.
Oh, Abby, you want to say something? I'll pause it for a second. Go ahead. If you want to say something.
I do think the word authority may have been a stretch, but I do get where he's coming from as a man. And in the sense as if I can't be there to stop certain things I know can happen with my male intuition. And I think that comes down to this idea that we don't trust men sometimes that they know what's right. We always challenge, well, he doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know how to protect myself. And sometimes you just have to say, he feels something and he knows something, like our own intuition as women, that we're always trying to let them know, I get this feeling, that men get a feeling too. And if a man is telling you, no, you're not going anywhere. No, you're not going out at night. I can't be with you. If I can't be with you, I don't feel like you're safe. I don't want the responsibility of knowing that you went against my feeling and you did this anyway, and God forbid something happens. I think authority is pushing it, but I do understand what he's trying to explain about being able to say to somebody, no, you ain't going nowhere. And at certain times when you're with your man, you have to trust his judgment and say, okay, maybe he feels something, he knows something as a man I don't get.
I totally agree with you, Abby, because I always say, coaching, there's a sign is if you're with a guy and he doesn't really approach things and he doesn't say things like this, he doesn't really care about you. Because if a guy really cares about a woman that he's involved with, he's going to make sure she's protected all the time. All right. So it's not like he's trying to control or whatever. He's just saying for her safety. That's what men do. That's
even beyond the protection thing. It's like little things that men have instincts about, maybe other men. Like, I don't really like that guy. Like, oh, he's so nice. He's sweet. I wouldn't worry about him. Oh, stop overreacting. And he says, no, there's just something about him I don't trust. And trust your man. If your man is telling you there's something over there, sometimes you have to take a deep breath and say, as a man, maybe he's getting an instinctual type of thing. Like, as a woman, I wouldn't want him questioning mine. So I think sometimes you have to let go and trust a man to just be a man. And if he tells you, no, you're not going out at night, just stay your ass home.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Y'all both y'all ladies are right, but also, Piers is stretching it, but the word authority can be interchangeable. Also, it has the meaning, the power to influence or persuade resulting from knowledge or experience. And also, that's just like saying, you guys who are famous and got money don't go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle Home Manchester and South Central not because I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you because there's a high chance you can get killed over there by wearing jewelry on. Just like that brother who died, that rapper P&B Rock, he was warned not to go over there with the jewelry on, and he got blasted. He got his news knocked out with some ketchup on it because they warned him.
You're right, Jack. You have to give a sense of authority, as if I know what you're saying. You are saying the right thing. I need to listen. You do have to give a sense of authority. I guess that's the word that he used, to people who you have to learn sometimes to trust their judgment. They may know something you don't know. And in saying, I agree, or if they say you can't go, I prefer you don't go. I know something, don't go. You can't go. I'm going to put my foot down. You can't go. Then you are literally giving them the authority and you are agreeing to it.
And if people really been watching Andrew Tate's commentary, this is how he is about the people that he cares about. So if this is his lady, that's why he feels that way. This is people that he cares about, not a controlling thing. All right. Something what BG said. I had to pin this comment. This is not an interview. This is an attempt to turn the audience against Tate. Not working. Oh, girl, if you read the comments, they basically just going off at Mr. Piers Morgan and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
that's what it was all
out of
about.
shape English muffin, it's always this type. Very women. All of a sudden he was doing this thing to Meghan Markle, and all of a sudden he wants to side with every woman and be a total mush and be a he's out of shape, and he'll never be what this guy is, and he knows it. And this is the kind of guy, and I'm going to harken back to something Jack said, that Meghan Markle might like, that he probably, you know what I'm saying? He look a lot of men, I think, are the ones. I don't think this had anything to do with misogyny. I absolutely think it was jealousy of other men.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
And men that know they
Yes.
cannot achieve this type of thing. They cannot get their bodies in shape, their minds in shape. They're so femininely identified. They're so
And they
emotionally
don't want to
triggered.
admit they don't want to admit the fact that he didn't have anything. Practically homeless, didn't have anything. So it wasn't like, if this was a situation with Andrew Tate, that him and his brother, they was born rich with the golden spoon in their mouth, I wouldn't be all this about with him. But they didn't have anything, but they made something.
Even how they
He's
made their
35,
initial money working
right?
with women.
35
Most
years
of these
old. Look
men
at him.
cannot finesse any women they know to do anything for them, even their damn laundry, let alone join some kind of cam company and work with him in a partnership to make money. So these are men that are very socially inept with women. These are the men that he should be, that he actually is reaching, but they can't, they know in their minds, or they don't want to try. And I think this is just a way of saying we need to stop accepting this type of guy as the goalpost, and just, be fat, be with no swag,
Be
have
lazy,
have no
they play
nothing to,
games.
just be a lumpy English muffin. And this is why that I'm fine. I was married 2 times, but you were divorced 2 times. And not to mention, you were such a little wincy little something when it came to Meghan Markle. So what does that tell you about how you're dealing with women? Since this conversation is all about his misogyny, and this is all they ever focus on, but they don't want to sit around and focus on the fact that he's actually trying to make men better themselves before they even get to women.
Happy.
So we're just going to focus on
Not
that.
be so feminine.
It's called Vienna sausage energy.
And a sausage energy. Okay, because I was like, what? I had to think twice on that one, Jack.
Let me read this comment back. William said responsibility was a better word. Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's just some ways the word thing, because some people, they get so triggered, they get so crazy with the word. Instead of doing their research, I don't get triggered. I try to figure out where you coming from before I start.
But isn't this the funny thing? It's these trigger words that literally killed his presence in social media.
Yeah. Oh, the trigger words and that the short content.
Exactly.
Because people don't want to take time to listen to the full content and find out exactly where did the root from it. Why did you say what was said in the beginning? Or saying they see this small thing and it's just like, oh my gosh, like that situation when he was.
But I think the trigger words, even in the long text, I think the trigger words are what got him. He's such an eloquent speaker. I really think that this is his opportunity to really retool his vocabulary and still get the same point across.
Oh, he did say that. He was like, he's not going to change what he believes in, what he stands for, which I respect, but maybe I have to just say it in another way for y'all in the back of the bus that don't have time. It's just ridiculous. All right, I'm gonna resume. Let's get it.
Control over this woman.
Serial procrastination is.
Oh, I thought he was talking about serial procrastination.
I think you're trying to, what you're trying to do.
I'm only trying to get to what you think. Honestly, I am. I come with no agenda here at all.
I understand. And I'm explaining very, very clearly. If I have responsibility over said subject, I have to have authority over it. So let me say you have children, right?
Right.
You have responsibility for them.
No, I have legal authority over my children. That is very different to having legal authority over my wife or my female partner.
Completely. But the point I'm trying to make.
So you accept that?
I accept that
Because you used the analogy of responsibility for a child.
My friend, these are
actually really important things.
They're
Andrew.
important things, but you interrupt me every 5 seconds, so it's hard for me to actually explain my point.
Well said. You keep interrupting him. You ask him a question, let him finish. I'm so sorry, Morgan. It's not what you wanted to hear. Okay?
This just shows the fear.
I can't stand debating. I can't stand with certain people because they're just so rude. That's why I titled it Andrew Tate versus Rude Piers Morgan. Rude.
I think insecure. I think it's beyond being rude. I think the rudeness is rooted in his
yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Because it's the same thing he did with Meghan Markle. His insecurity, his not looking good.
Look at his face. It's turning red. He's getting frustrated. Look at it right there, pause. He's getting frustrated.
Oh, he's got the English muffin. Now he's all toasted up. He's just can't anymore.
He's so toasted up. I'm done.
Why? He can't. He knows that in the eyes of looking at this guy, he's looking at a younger man who's taking a very masculine standpoint, and him
and he doesn't have a bunch of baby mamas, a bunch of kids.
No, exactly. He's definitely not somebody they can look to and say, "Well, you're divorced twice. You are a total. You played a real bitch move when it came to a woman's rejection, to the point of no return." Okay, like what this guy Andrew Tate, if a woman if a woman he went on a date with told him, "Oh, I didn't, dig him like that," and she ghosted him, I think he would have just moved on. And this is why you're seeing something real. I don't know. Look at the two different types of men. I'm not even going on the age or just the English muffinness of it all. Just the whole how they handle things. And this is a man that knows his options in life. He's worked on himself first before he put himself out there. And this is why this is a man that wouldn't do a sit-up for a sit. Meghan Markle probably looks at him and thought to himself, he probably wouldn't give her a word in edgewise. He wouldn't do anything to improve his own self for a woman. He definitely, I'm going to harken back to that Meghan Markle thing, because he wasn't willing to improve himself and then say, you know what, I was wrong. I'm a different man now. Can you give me a second chance to make it right? No, he decided to be a bitch and go after her.
And I question men that do stuff like that. Resume.
The point I'm making here is very simple. You have children and you're responsible for their safety. So you're going to have authority to say, don't go out at night, perhaps because you want them to be safe.
I have legal authority.
You have a legal authority.
Yeah.
Legal authority. I'm saying that if I had a woman, and the question where you've raised this soundbite from, I was asked about protecting a woman, making sure she's safe. And I would say, I wouldn't want her to go out at night on her own because I'm responsible for her safety. And someone said, well, you don't have authority over her to do that. And I said, well, no, I can't force her to stay inside. But if she were to ask me, how do I protect myself at night? I would say, well, you should stay inside. That's how you should do it.
I don't have an issue with what
So we agree.
Said. No.
It's the semantics.
No, it's not semantics. And this is where I don't think you quite get why there's a furore over what you say, with respect. Because the semantics point would be if we're saying the same thing in different ways, but we're not. I'm saying to you that when you say I have to have some authority over a woman, I say to you, you have no right to any authority over a woman. You do over a child if it's your child, because you are the legal appointed guardian of that child.
Understood.
You're not a legally appointed guardian or authority over your wife or female partner.
Legally appointed, absolutely not. I agree. However, when it comes to things like personal responsibility or personal safety, men, largely by society, are accepted. We're the protectors and providers. We can sit here and pretend that in the world we live in, if me and my wife were walking down the street and men were to come up and try and attack us, I wouldn't be the one fighting. But we both know in reality I would.
Right.
I have a degree of responsibility to protect her. So if I have a degree of responsibility to protect her physically, then the point I'm trying to make is I will do my best to make sure she's never putting herself in unsafe situations.
Do you wish you hadn't used the word authority?
The authority is something that she would give to me. She would come to me and say, how can I make sure I'm as safe as possible?
But I don't want to interrupt you.
Exactly.
I just want to point out that's not what authority
Give him
means.
the authority.
If someone gives, a person can give
voluntary
authority.
Make a decision for you if necessary. Sure. Trust his
Don't a lot of
instinct.
ladies do that with their man? Hello, that's what he's talking about. That's what they look up to, because men is
trust his instinct. Sometimes I gotta say, okay, he's right. I gotta listen to him. Yep, I give you the authority to say keep your ass at home. It's not safe because without me, there's no one there to fight for you. So I'm giving you the authority to say no, you can't. Okay, I get it.
Oh my God, this tell you this Pierce guy just totally. He's
This Pierce guy doesn't have the authority to do nothing. He's just he's like, oh God.
because he don't care. Because he can't even. He probably can't even protect the woman. He don't care.
Look how he took
He
rejection.
walk with a woman down the block and a man come to attack her. He'll probably be the one to start crying and running. She's standing there like, well, what you gonna do? No, I gotta protect myself. I gotta get out of here.
Oh, look how he took rejection. That tells you everything about him as a man.
Oh yes.
Instead of taking the high road,
yes,
he got in his feels. And when you get in your feels like that, I think it's weird energy. If you ask me, I won't call it feminine, just weird.
Yeah, weird energy. Resume.
Authority is not authority.
No, but that's the point. If
It's
a
not.
woman, Piers,
Andrew, it's not.
Piers, if a woman comes to me and says, "I want you to keep me safe," she is handing me authority for her safety.
But do you understand the difference between having authority over somebody and somebody giving you permission to have authority?
Completely. I never said
one is consensual and one isn't.
But why are we pretending I do unconsensual things? when I
Because
have
you
no criminal
literally
record?
say, I must have a degree of authority. I have to have some authority. And the point about
Only if
this-
I'm responsible for her safety. If I'm not responsible for her
if your
safety, I don't
position,
have authority.
if your position now is that with her permission, I would like to have authority when we go out at night to protect her, that's a different
That was
thing.
always my position.
But that's not what you said.
But that was always my position, Piers.
So again, I simply say to you,
It is what I said, though.
Do you wish you'd phrased it a different way?
No, because we're talking about long format copy where I'm talking about a woman who has come to me and said, "You're responsible for making sure I'm safe." I said, well, then I have to make the decisions.
When an
which gives me
18-year-old
authority.
boy reads, I must have some authority over a woman, what do you think he thinks?
Well, I understand that. And I said this earlier when you tried to say I was backtracking, which I'm not doing.
No, actually, I'm not. I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not trying to gotcha you.
Cool.
I'm trying to work out exactly what you.
I
actually
understand
think.
with massive fame comes massive responsibility. I understand that a percentage of the population are always going to take everything that's said by anybody out of context.
Would you change the wording of what you said?
No, I would just encourage people to watch my long format copy and understand it
Would you
fully.
tell an 18-year-old boy you don't have authority over women?
Absolutely.
You would say that?
Unless a woman comes to him and says, "You're responsible for my safety. Please make sure keep me safe." Like
I
my
see.
woman
Now
says,
that
comes to
Andrew
me.
Tate, I can sign up to.
Well, then we agree.
Yeah, but I don't agree with what you said before.
Because you're taking a soundbite from a 2-hour
Yeah, but you haven't been
conversation.
taken out of context because I read you the entire sentence. It's very.
But you've
debatable.
ignored all the context around the sentence, my friend.
You can't ignore a sentence that says, I must have a degree of authority.
But you can when there's a 2-hour conversation where a woman is telling me if she makes me responsible for her safety and me explaining, well, if I'm responsible for your safety, I have the authority to make decisions. So yes, you've ignored all the context.
Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18, 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women?
I think there's attractive people. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, it's not really, is it?
I can't.
You know why I'm asking it?
Of course I do, but I can't sit
Well,
here and
for
say.
the benefit of viewers who don't know why I'm asking, you said this. In general, this is also one of the reasons men find youth attractive. You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right effing now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. People say, oh, you can't say that, but yes, I can. A 19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny.
Why?
Because you are encouraging
Oh,
a mindset
no,
about
no.
25-year-old women that makes
I
them
have,
sound
this
out to
is
be.
why he now wants to protect young women, 25-year-old women, from the obvious truth. This is barbershop talk. This is mano a mano conversations. Older men teaching younger men what to look for, or telling men maybe you'd have less problems with certain type of women if you started dating women that weren't as experienced with men. This is something they all think and know. They're all looking for a virgin, some of them. Somebody said it out loud. That's all. But all the other things that are said out loud about women, I wouldn't go crazy about this being a misogynist way. Okay, I'm well off the season Vine. But he's right. When I was 25, I wasn't the same girl I was when I was 19 for all the same reasons. I had already had my heart broken. I had already been sleeping around with, my body count was much higher. And where's the lie?
Hold on. Was it Piers Morgan going after a younger woman named Meghan Markle?
You know, not for nothing. Somebody else said that his wife is like 11 or 10, over 10 years younger than him, or one of his last wives. Every man, in some respect, you know, there's always that thing with younger women. There is a worshiping of youth in in all aspects. You know, although there are some that go the other way, you know, but there is a worship of youth. Cougarism is the same way. I don't make no bones about it. When I got older, I'm starting to look for something I like the look of something younger. It didn't have to talk. It didn't have to do nothing. Well, and you know, but I like the way it looked, and I like the naivete that came along with it that old men didn't have anymore. The little glitz in their eyes, and the something that time and experience tends to change. And that's all he's saying. Okay, so he got a few 25-year-old women saying, how dare you? How dare you say what? Think about it. Even if that doesn't apply across the board and it's a general statement, there is some truth to it. So, like, get over yourselves.
Resume.
Definitely less desirable than 18, 19-year-olds, and having effectively been having too much sex to be taken in a more respectful way.
That would, well, firstly, even if that was the case, that wouldn't be misogyny.
But what did you mean by what you said?
That's not misogyny because it's not anti-women. I'm saying that an 18 or a 19-year-old woman would be more desirable.
Pretty anti-25-year-old women.
Anti-25-year-old women we can argue, but not misogyny.
Well, that's misogyny.
No, it's not.
Being anti any woman at all is misogyny.
Not when I'm saying that women are beautiful and attractive at a certain age and saying the age.
You're saying 18, 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25.
Well, than ageist, perhaps, but misogynistic, absolutely.
Is that not. But you just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was misogyny. I'm telling you, no, it's not.
So you don't think if you're
desperate to label someone something else.
That's not slightly hateful.
Our society is obsessed with labeling people.
It's not slightly hateful. When
so you would go up to a 25-year-old woman and tell her exactly what I just read out.
Why would I walk up to a random 25-year-old
Because you said it in public on the internet, and it's been listened to and watched by millions and millions of young, impressionable boys.
Correct. There was a large panel. There was a conversation. There was hours long of conversation. There were feminists attacking men for toxic masculinity and attacking me and saying things, and I said things back which were going to antagonize.
But I think,
which you've done yourself a bunch of times.
I think a lot of allegations of toxic masculinity are not toxic.
Correct.
I do think that kind of sentence I just read out, that paragraph.
Actually, when Meghan Markle, when Piers Morgan met Meghan Markle,
and you say you wouldn't say it to a woman's face.
When Piers Morgan met Meghan Markle, he was 50 years old and she was 34 years old. So, oops. Let's talk about that.
Exactly. You didn't want no 50-year-old woman. Well, what was that about? Exactly. Why isn't he a dirty old dude? Why aren't you sitting there with a dirty old lady? No, you found somebody 15 years damn younger than you, and now you're asking you're the hypocrisy of it all. And then he wants to talk about toxic masculinity. His response to being rejected, to me, reeked of toxic masculinity. You were going to use your position as a man. You were going to use your position in television, and you were going to use your broken heart and your rejected whatever you had going on for yourself.
Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100 on this one. His mind was, how dare this biracial woman rejects me?
Exactly. And marry a prince. So she not only did she reject me, but she upgraded to something as young as herself, more beautiful than me, still an English muffin, and now she's got royalty. I mean, how toxic did you have to be? How low did you have to go? How much smear campaign did you have to do? He let it all hang out. His old man rejection, his racism, his jealousy for a younger, more astute man with a royal label. So you can talk all the English muffin you want. If she didn't want you, let it go. If I were him, I would have said I shot my shot with her and she let me down, but it's nice to see her, you know, with a man who's got status and blah 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 and this and that. No, instead you ripping her down some more. That's why I think guys like this, he wants to now play like he's a female's friend. I'm friend to females. I'm going to, you know, talk to Andrew Tate and show him his misogyny and show him all his this and that. The hypocrisy is unreal. Okay.
There's a lot of projection going on. Resume.
But you said it in public about women of that age. I do think that's misogynist. And I think you probably do too.
I don't think it's misogynistic. I understand why it can be insulting.
You wouldn't say it to a woman's face.
Well, it depends. You're making out like I'm walking around the street going up.
Hold on real quick. I'll make this a
tens
real
of
quick
millions of
statement.
people
I'm gonna make
online.
this
There's no
extremely
difference.
quick
Not at
statement.
all. We're discussing a topic.
I'm sorry. I don't want to drag it any further. You know, I want to keep the content going and you know, because I know people got to go, you know, got to work and all this stuff. So, but just like Abby said, I mean, the older guys seek younger women, older women seek younger guys. I don't see a problem with that, as long as it ain't no teens. Now, if it's teens, then yeah, we got a question. But if they're over 21 or 25, okay. But teens part, no. But that's pretty much been going on since the age of time. I mean, you look at the biblical construct of Abraham and Sarah. Sarah was 10 years younger than Abraham. I mean, that's just what it is. And like Abby said, you know, you're going to have women out there who older want to seek a younger man, you know, because that younger man may give her that youthful, what's that called? Youthful energy, as they call it? Or
no, Jack, it's the naivete.
Well, or to feel desired, or to feel more
naivete in their eyes and their kicking bodies and all that stamina. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, that, and as well as feeling like, you know, I still got it. I'm still desired. I'm still pulling these attractive younger men. And yeah, it's a high. Just like an older man.
Yeah, it's an ego stroke. That's why they call it a midlife crisis when men do it. They feel like they need this idea that they can still pull it. She sees the young me. She makes me feel young. She makes me feel alive. And it's, considered a midlife crisis.
Mm.
And that's why. And the whole thing with teenagers, the same thing. Men needing to be with women or girls that are not experienced with other men. Be the first. You understand that whole, by the time they even get to 18, 19, they've already had, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of women have already had their first sexual experience, their first love, so as they're getting older, they're becoming more, they're not, they're not going for the same games that we would go for when we were 18 and 19 by the time we're in our 20s. We don't, no. You're past that. And even when you get to your 30s or your 40s or your 50s, that's why they don't find older women desirable. We know this game. And a lot of times I feel like men don't tend to mature in certain aspects of their life. And that's why they keep chasing that sort of youthful girl that will always see them as their first. And, the guy, the man, she's never had anything before me. It's every man's sort of weird fantasy. I guess whatever makes them feel good.
I'll put it this way. I don't want no woman with no hair down there.
No, I got a problem with that too. Yeah. I had a conversation about that.
Yeah, because my thing is, if there ain't no hair down there, then you got to second guess it.
All right, let me resume.
Discussing the ideal age of a man.
Should young boys, right, in their teens, are you comfortable that they would have that mindset? Be honest.
I think that young boys in their teens lack life experience. They lack nuance. And they need to be very, very careful what they're digesting online, whether it's my content or anybody else's.
Yeah, I think for a fact, millions of them are digesting exactly what you're saying.
Completely. The entire internet, to a degree. I think any subject you can find, there's going to be a whole heap of content.
I come back to the Joe Rogan thing, Andrew. Is that a lot of what you say, I agree with.
Yeah.
Right? I do, genuinely. I've read a lot of stuff you said. A lot of the stuff you talk about, I think, yeah, he's got a good point, right? So we agree about a lot of things. But when I read that kind of thing, I'm like, how much of that is you? How much of that is some act? Do you regret saying stuff like this? I don't. And actually, do you see it as weakness to admit you shouldn't have said something like that?
No, I don't live with regret. I think what's happened is that, like I said, long format content, arguments with feminists, arguments with the toxic masculine crowd, arguments with the left, and they're going to take a small clip, small sentence from ours, and they're going to try and paint me as a villain.
I'm not left or right.
I don't know what you are, Piers.
Exactly. That's my point. No, but that's my point.
And I understand. And you're doing exactly as I knew would happen on this interview, which is because you're a busy man. You're not going to watch hours and hours and hours of video.
Actually, I have watched hours and hours of video, and I'm going to come to the stuff where I agree with you, and I'm going to come to the stuff about your censorship, which
Sure.
I have issues with. So this is, it's a long interview, right?
Sure.
I just thought off the top, you said to me, and you were quite bold about it. Well, go on, then let's go through these.
And you should keep going. I will sit here and stand by what I said. I believe that
on that, I just read to you then.
Yeah.
Do you wish you hadn't said that?
I understand how it's been misconstrued. I understand how it's been weaponized against me. Do I regret it because it's been weaponized and used against me? Well, that's slightly annoying.
That's not why I want you to
Did I
regret
at the time mean what I said in the context of the conversation, which obviously you're not familiar with and the people at home are not familiar with? No, I meant what I said.
The 25-year-old women, they've just talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up.
Well, there's a whole bunch of context and conversation around that's been missed, and I
don't think I'm missing much context.
Well, I encourage people who are interested to go watch it.
But I mean, I've just read out 3 sentences on the bounce there. I don't think there's any context I'm missing. I mean, you made it pretty clear what you think about the difference between 18 and 90-year-old women.
I wasn't talking about
26-year-olds.
myself, even. I was talking with a Muslim guy who was on the panel, and he was explaining how youth is very valued in most parts of the world, and why virginity is valued in most parts of the world. The feminists were arguing against it. And I was sitting there, actually, very much like you, a mediator between the two, explaining why in most of the world still today, perhaps not in the Western world, virginity is coveted, youth is coveted in most of the world, and throughout all of human history. And I was sitting there making the point, explaining why in certain parts of the world they think how they do,
well,
even though it's very different to the Western world. So I was making a point, mediating between two groups very similar to yourself. The conversation has been misunderstood. They've taken this clip of it and it's been weaponized and used against me. I understand that it's because I'm now the most famous Google person on the planet. It's inconvenient, sure, but I'm definitely not a danger to women in any regard. I date women 25, 26, 27 years old all the time. None of them are offended by the things
I don't
I
think
say.
you're a danger to women.
Of
I
course
think
not.
I think the danger, if it concerns you, the danger is the influence you have on young men to have this kind of mindset about women. And that's really where I'm trying to get to what you really believe and how much you've just shot off because you think it's like entertaining and you haven't really given it much thought. And whether now you're a bit older and you've had all the fallout, whether part of you is thinking, actually, if I had, as Joe Rogan says, if you hadn't said stuff like this, you'd probably still be on all these platforms. You'd be massively more popular, massively more famous, massively richer. So I'm really just trying to get to, on the blatantly misogynist stuff, do you just wish you hadn't said it?
With great power comes great responsibility. It was certainly said before the great power came. It's inconvenient to a degree.
I agree
However,
with you,
like I
BG.
said at the time, with the context of the conversation, I know that I'm not saying things which I believe to be detrimental to the world. However, they've been misconstrued and they've been misunderstood.
If a 25-year-old woman was watching this, would you say, I'm sorry for saying that?
Well, I wouldn't want anyone to be offended by anything I say, but I say things. But I say things that offend. And this is the thing that's interesting, Piers. Please let me finish.
Yeah, but you're behaving like a politician. But hang on, you could say I'm interrupting.
You do,
but you're answering a different question to the one I asked you. So, as an interviewer, you're
sure. Okay,
you're
sure.
behaving.
Sure. Okay, let's. Sure.
Okay, you accept that. Let's
No
accept
problem.
we both
No problem.
got
No
on.
problem.
Okay. So again, my point is simply, if a 26-year-old woman is watching this and has heard those comments, would you just say to her, "Look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that"?
No, I won't. I will say that I am sorry that offends you. However, there's a large contingent of the world.
That doesn't mean you're sorry.
No, I'm not sorry. That's the point I'm making. I'm sorry if that offends you. However, there's a large contingent of the world that believe that, and I was mediating for a conversation.
Parts of the world that believe that about 26-year-old women are parts of the world where women are not allowed out on their own.
That's a conversation.
They have to wear full burqas.
Well, that's a conversation.
They're not allowed to drive cars.
That's nothing to do with it.
But is that the kind of world for women that you?
I was mediating a conversation.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I don't live in a country where that happens.
So you're using that as the excuse for why you're not sorry for saying it.
It's not an excuse.
Is that there are parts of the world where this is fine?
My friend.
So my question to you
Can I
is,
say
do you
something
think it's fine?
about his defense
I
of
live in a world where
25-year-old?
I don't think it's fine.
The reason.
I think it's kind of interesting that he now wants to defend the older of the women that may take offense to something a man says to a Muslim man who was bringing about, they have a totally different cultural dynamic. Okay. So that has a lot to do with it too, because that's a different cultural dynamic. But I also think it's interesting. Would he be this verbally in defense or fighting for overweight women as he is for a 25-year-old from an English muffin? you know, like, are you going to go across the board about this? If you're going to be chastising him for saying something about her body count or her sexual experience or having had a broken heart or all the reasons why you may want to choose a 19-year-old over a 25-year-old, when it becomes about body weight, let's see if he's going to be so body positive. And when the selection comes down, because I'm telling you, when he looks at this guy, he knows we choose this beautiful fit man over that slumping English muffin any day. And that's what it is. He's now in the position where he feels like he's that 25-year-old woman. He has to explain to him how hurtful it was what he said. So he doesn't like 25-year-old women. So what? He's not for you. Move on. I think we're becoming way too sensitive as a society and trying to label people. He's a misogynist and so politically correct. And so what we're supposed to say, you're now not supposed to say X, Y, Z types of words. Those are offensive. Those are not. No way. And I think that the chastising they're doing to him is very unfair in the broader sense of things that men are saying all over the world. Absolutely. I think it's because he's reaching the teenage audience that has been forgotten, the male audience that has been forgotten by a lot of people. And now they're the ones backtracking. They want their attention. And now all of a sudden, all their attention is now on women. Everything has been attention on women's issues for so long. They have overlooked teenage men that are coming into their masculinity and their manhood. And all they see is everything is about women. Not to take it away, but I think that's where they have a problem with him. He definitely keyed into a market that had been neglected.
You got a great point there, Abby. Okay, let me resume. Thank you for that, Abby. Oh, wait a minute. Do I have this right? All right, let me resume.
This isn't that hard, Andrew. You can simply say, Piers, you know what? With the benefit of hindsight, I wish I hadn't said it like that. And if a 26-year-old woman's watching, I'm sorry I said that, because that actually is blatantly misogynist. And even though that's a view held by other parts of the world, it's not a view I share. Now, I would respect you more if you said that than if you try and say, well, it's said in other parts of the world, so I'm not sorry.
I think
that doesn't tell me what you think.
Then you need to understand why my content existed in the first place. My content existed because I tried my very hardest to be an absolute and utter realist, especially with uncomfortable truths. I was pointing out that very uncomfortable.
Is that a truth? Then?
It's an uncomfortable truth in many parts of the world. It's not a truth that I'm happy about. It's not a truth I created.
Hang on. You're doing it again. What do you mean that's a truth in other parts of the world? That's what you said. It's not. You're not talking about another part of the world. You're talking about what you believe is the difference between 18 and 90-year-olds and 26-year-olds.
I was talking about
your belief.
I was talking about what the people on the panel believe the difference is.
So what do you think the difference is?
I think the difference is age.
What's the difference then?
Well, then a 26-year-old's older than a 19-year-old.
And so you stand by what you said about talking to the guys, being to the club more times, being effed and dumped more times. Well, you believe that or not?
No, there's plenty of 26-year-old women who have been with one man or virgins,
right.
Of course.
So you don't believe that?
I don't think that the age is the only thing that's going to decipher how many men or women.
Right, so if you don't actually believe what you said, just say sorry.
It's not about not believing what I'm saying. It's about you understanding that there's large conversations going on.
I'm just reading back stuff you've said.
I know.
And I'm asking you, do you believe it?
I believe that it's more likely a 26-year-old's had more partners than a 19-year-old.
Right. You don't know that.
I don't know that. You're right.
So he's trying to make him say sorry to all the women that he so-called insulted. Did he ever say sorry to make
all 26-year-old women?
It's not about.
Did he ever apologize to Meghan Markle as publicly as he wants this guy to apologize to everybody?
Abby, you caught that, right? You caught that. Well said. Resume.
We're repeating ourselves here.
We're not really. I'm just trying to get to what you actually believe.
I believe that men find youth attractive in general. I believe that in the context of the conversation,
25-year-old women aren't old.
I agree with you. They're not, especially I'm old. I'm a lot older than that. The point I was making was part of mediating a panel, a conversation between feminists and some Muslim guys.
I get it.
Okay,
I get it.
Good. So you understand why I said the sentence.
But as far as I know, you weren't espousing what a Muslim man might think. You were espousing what you think.
I was espousing what the people on the panel believed.
But you were saying what you think.
I feel like you're trying to pin me down.
This is how Andrew Tate feels with this interview. Like, dude, really?
With the shirt off and everything. I love it. Love it,
That's
Donna.
why I just love this little clip here. That's how I have to pull it up every time. It's like really
thirst trapping for us girls. Yes, I see you in there, BG. What's up, girl?
really, dude. Can you just sit back and relax? Let me answer the questions. What's wrong with you? Why don't you go and hit the gym? Why don't you get yourself together? Stop being so angry and hating on me. Do something with your life. That's what he's saying. I understand you, Andrew. I'm on your team. You ain't got no problem. Let's resume. And he's handling it. I have to say, Andrew, you handled this interview extremely well. You're not letting him take you out of character. You still standing for who you are and what you are and what you're all about. Because you sending a great message to these young men out here because they need to hear. Because there's too many messages out there that's making these men a bunch of punks. Want to sit around, smoke weed all day. Want to sit around and play video games all day and bash women. And talk
and
crap.
he's handling himself without argumenting, without raising his voice, without being.
Yeah, he's not.
Or even he's not even bringing up Piers, the English muffin, and his hypocrisy to it all. You know, we that low, Donna. I am scraping the bottom.
Because Abby, if he wanted to roast him, I think he can really roast this man so good to have him crying.
Well,
he's being cool.
I think a response video is in order. Somebody ought to tear this English muffin.
I tell you, jealousy and hate is something else. There was another video with this one, but maybe I'll do it another day and we'll do a part 2 on this one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, resume.
Down.
If it's not what you believe, just say, I don't believe that.
What part wouldn't I believe?
Well, you tell me which part you don't believe.
I don't like him telling him just do this and just do that and say that and don't say.
I believe that 25-year-old women perhaps have had, because they've been alive longer, maybe have had more partners, but I don't believe that makes them a bad person.
Right. But you understand that the way you phrased it makes every 25-year-old
I understand.
feel a bad person.
No, I don't think so.
Of course you do. Not stupid, come on.
Piers.
Andrew, you're not stupid.
Piers thinks women are stupid and we're so damn sensitive or we're so delusional that we don't know that
so you underline
the truth.
every 25, 26-year-old woman with that statement. And I'm simply asking you, to all those who are not of the type of women that you've described it, are you sorry?
I don't want anybody to be offended by anything I say. I want to be a positive force in the world. I don't want anybody to hear what I say and make them feel bad about themselves. I want all people to live righteous and good, whether they're male or female. And anybody who's
you lead a righteous life?
I think I do, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
You boasted openly of having 6, 7 partners at once. So is that righteous? I'm not taking him.
Okay, I'm gonna
Did he say it was righteous to have all these partners?
I know. Hold on a second, because I'm gonna let this one play because this is where I want to go in on this.
Okay.
This is what pisses me off right here, and it was, this is around this time point we started to piss me off with him. Because into the dating relationship, let's resume. Go ahead, Andrew. Answer him. Well, try to answer him because this man won't let you answer the question.
Openly of having 6, 7 partners at once. So is that righteous? I'm not taking him. There's no moral view from me. Simply asking you what you think righteous means.
I think righteous is living true to your heart and knowing that you're doing good by people, not snaking anybody, not lying to anybody. I know I live a very righteous life.
Have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
How many?
Now he said you talking about you living a righteous life, but you have he said 6 or 7 women. Okay, number one is he can have as many women as he wants, but is he lying to them? No. He's being honest with them, let them know they chose to be with him. They okay. But there's a lot of women that's okay with sharing a man. They don't have a problem. At least he's being honest. Because there's some women out here that are sharing a man and don't even know that they signed up that they sharing with a man. They lying. Hello, like Nia Long, and the list goes on to people and stuff. So at least to be honest, so what did he talk about was righteous? See, this is what pissed me off about Piers Morgan. Just say it. You're jealous. You wish you can have a bunch of women. You wish that you would have several women that be attracted to you and want to be with you. This is called projection, ladies and gentlemen. This is the form of projection. Resume.
How many times?
Plenty. I believe in love between men and women.
A real love, where it's,
I believe.
How many times would you say?
Enough. I believe men and women are a beautiful union. I think we're slightly different.
Funny how he doesn't like to get into his personal love life, right? This is a man that could brag to high hell if he wanted to.
5, 10, 20?
Let's say.
You don't forget.
With me been watching Andrew Tate, a lot of his videos and doing commentary on him, I think this is a man who's loved the women, but I don't think he's ever been in love. And when the day he falls in love, oh my gosh, this girl got something coming for her. You know what I mean? I just think that he loves.
Absolutely. And I think half of the crap that he talks will run out the door with the
it's gonna be. There ain't gonna be no 7 women. It's gonna be
he
one.
already talks about. See, the thing about it is, in his mind, he already has chosen this perfect woman. He already talks about what it's going to be like to have her. She's my property. She's mine. She cannot go out without me. I have to be there to protect her. There's this grip. And I think it has to do with how people love somebody. You know, some men, they love you, that you're my girl. You're my girl. You're not for other people's eyes. You're not for other people's, whispers. You're not for being, all out there. You're not allowed to go out without me at night. God forbid something happens to you. I want everybody to know I'll be there to kick ass. I'm telling you.
It would just totally destroy him to know he wasn't there to protect you. And some men, that will drive them out of their flipping mind. They would lose it.
Not these guys nowadays. You need protection from them. That's
exactly. You need protection from them. And they'll sit there. But God, like I said, you walking down the block and the guy's about to attack. He's the one running. You be standing like, what's happening? Oh, well, I got to protect myself. Well, who am I? But they so quick to want some cookies, right? They be all up in the cookie jar, right? But when it comes to protecting and providing, they got a problem. They start stuttering, don't know what you're talking about, Dusty.
And here's a man that's talking the exact opposite from these guys all over YouTube, talking about don't protect women. They don't need it. Women out here screaming, we're being killed every 5 hours. And he is in the opposite direction. But they have a problem with what he's saying. I'm going to go here, Donna. And I'm going to say this for my biracial brother. They are a little unshaken by the fact that he is not typical.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Resume. I like that, Abby. Well said.
How many people have you been in love with?
Let's say 10. I mean, I've been in love, and I certainly believe that men and women, when they work together, it's the most beautiful force on the planet. I believe in family. I believe in children. I believe in...
If you believe in family and children and love, why are you single?
I'm not single.
Well, you're not married. That's what I mean.
Well, if I was...
Oh, Donna.
Stupid. That was so stupid what he just said, Piers. That was just so stupid. Oh, I'm getting angry. What you going to say?
No, but it's funny how now, if he was married, he wouldn't even tell the world. He doesn't want the woman that he decides to take as his partner, his property, his having authority over, or any other misogynistic shit that he said or did. The woman in his life, he doesn't want her held up to scrutiny from guys like him or anybody.
You know when he was on that other channel, when he was doing an interview, that 5-hour interview, and he even said that he gets a lot of threats and he has to protect. So he wants to protect the woman that he's with because he knows you're with me, you're going to be a target.
Exactly. How many of these wackos out here will be like, how could you be with a man like that and blah, 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 and coming after her? And she didn't sign up for this. She fell in love with a man, and
so many of these feminine men out here that just don't know how to protect women. They don't have a clue. They can't do 20 push-ups. You know what I'm saying? They're so confused, whatever. So they mad at him. You know, just haters, go somewhere else. You know, us ladies, class ladies, we don't want y'all. Resume.
Married, the last thing I would do is advertise it to the feral psychopaths on the internet. So
I'm not a feral psychopath.
Well, that
can
be debated, Piers. But the point I'm making as a whole is that all of these.
Do you want to get married? Is my point.
No, but let's please for a second.
You don't, or you do?
Let's please for a second, because you've interrupted me so many times. I've failed to.
Well, actually, I've only interrupted you just to be clear when you've actually answered a different question.
Cool. Well, then on all these points
you've admitted that.
On all these points you're making on repeat, you're taking these sentences and on repeat you're you're weaponizing them against me.
I'm not weaponizing anything.
Okay, it's fine.
No. You're weaponizing the weaponizing, which doesn't exist.
No problem.
But you said to me, come on, bring it on. Read out all the things that you think are blatant misogyny. All I've done is literally read out all the things we identified from all the research that I thought were blatantly misogynist.
Understood.
And giving you the chance to respond. And the only time I've interrupted you is when you've tried to answer a completely different question.
Understood, Piers.
No, because he doesn't want to talk about his personal
in
dating
large context.
This guy doesn't want to talk about Meghan Markle.
For example, on the same podcast where you've read one of them sentences from, I was talking about how it's a man's duty to die by a woman. And the guy asked me, he said, if 10 men with knives attacked your woman, wouldn't you just, I said, yeah, I'd stand and die. I'd never just run away because I have a duty as a man. I must die on the spot to protect her honor and my honor. I'm talking about a man having responsibility to his duties. I'm talking about the old traditional ways of masculinity. And what happens is a few sentences from such a long conversation is taken and used against me.
I understand that.
So I want you to understand that I'm talking about protecting and providing for women. I'm talking about a man making
Do you
sure
want to
a
get
woman...
married?
No, but this is we have to all feed into each other, Piers. I'm talking about protecting.
It's not a hard question.
No, but I'm talking about protecting and providing for a woman. I'm talking about a man being responsible for her safety.
I understand.
So of course I believe in men and women. Of course I believe in love.
You see, Andrew, you were saying some stuff, and you preach this all the time from the beginning to the end. You have not changed up on your words. You're a man of your word. This is when you know a man who's really a man, when he's consistent about who he is.
And he said it's old.
Consistent. And what intimidate these men that's very feminine, that they don't like what he's saying. They're providing and protecting. He feels it's his honor, his duty to do. They don't want that honor and duty. They so busy running around, he want that fucking 50-50, excuse my language, that 50-50. They want to be a man, they want to be that part-time man. They don't want to be a full man, but they always want to be up in a cookie jar. That's why I call them a bunch of F-boys, a bunch of dusties. Ladies, choose
the 50-50 brothers. Oh my God.
Yeah, 50-50 brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
that's why I say, ladies, you have to make, whoever's, watches this little tip of advice, you have to, choose the man that you want to be with wisely. Because a lot of these guys, all they want to be up in your cookies. They ain't got no problem with the cookies. But when it comes to providing and protecting, they go scarce.
No, and no one
the
else
chump
is-
change boys.
Let me, can
Yeah,
I
the
say
chump
something?
change.
No man of any color is talking like him. Let's get it down. Let's boil it down to the bare bone. Because right now I'm seeing him now trying to trap him, put him in a corner, talk about his personal life. He doesn't want to talk about whether he's personally married. He wants to talk about his views on masculinity and relationships, not his own. Okay? He's not sitting around here dragging the woman he's with, talking about what type of woman she is, who she is. He doesn't want these type of people coming after her. He's still protecting, right? Even in bare daylight.
Exactly. He doesn't kiss and tell. And you have so many men that will kiss and tell. It's none of your business. Why would I have to discuss that? And that's called protecting and having respect for his woman. And she's probably doing the same thing too. That's what you're supposed to do in a relationship. Resume.
You don't ever tell other guys about the sex life with the woman you have, because all they're gonna do is they're gonna run over there and try to get some.
Well said.
I mean,
Exactly. And let's not forget what a class act that he has, that he didn't bring up what he was doing to Meghan Markle and how much danger he put her in. Because all of that vitriol of being a rejected man and all of that, I'm sure a lot of these old English muffins that were rejected by beautiful young women of color, that all of a sudden she got her a prince, can relate to him. What kind of danger she put her in, actually. You understand what I'm saying?
Great
Since
point.
we're talking about this misogynistic Andrew Tate and how he's, rallying these teenagers to become these misogynistic maniacs, when they grow up. Well, what are these old dudes doing?
Yeah, because if he's misogynist, why he be all into the providing and protecting? He'd be like, yo, let her figure out what she got to do. You got to worry about yourself.
Exactly. This is a man that wouldn't even protect his feelings about being rejected by a woman and just keeping it strictly professional and talking about, I shoot my shot. It didn't happen, but I'm happy that she's with the prince. She's a girl, wonderful girl. Couldn't say nothing nice. To me, that's an attack. And then if you have fans and other men that can identify with that kind of rejected bitchy way, okay, you have now, what do you have rallying behind you? And he's worried about teenagers that need to learn how to just be basic men and get their crap together and get out from behind video games and go work out and learn how to be around women, and they're so socially inept. Come on now.
Yeah, go to college, get a trade, do something. So find some sort of skills, find yourself your purpose in life. But they just jumping at him because he's speaking facts and he's hitting the younger generation. And that's good because these men need to go. They seeing all these things I hear, men putting on makeup, men putting on dresses and stuff. No, that's just, well, he's going to dress that one. Let me not talk more. Let's get
It's funny how they want to talk about women, right? and women's rights, and they want to talk about the things that are so misogynistic, right? And and how you shouldn't say that about women, and you shouldn't do that about women, and all this, and say this, and say this, and say this, and say this about women. But yet they will fight for the right for them to constantly push their narrative of making something normalized, or even if you want to normalize it, okay, we're accepting of it. Push the acceptance of it, but you could be accepting of it, but may not want that to be the direction you want to point men that don't want anything to do with it. It's not that they're transphobic or homophobic or anything. They're just not interested in that lifestyle or anything going on with that, and they want to stay in their masculine form. And all of a sudden we have a problem.
Exactly. You had a great point, Abby. Not that they homophobic. They just don't want to. Well, what's the problem? Why you have to be shameful? Oh gosh, it's just so annoying. Resume.
Love. Of course I believe in marriage. Of course I believe in family.
No, but
the idea that I don't believe in the idea that I don't believe in these things
I
is
didn't
crazy.
ask you if you believed in it. I asked you if you're going to get married.
One day, absolutely.
You'd like to.
If I'm not married already, I will be married one day. If I'm not,
well, you might be secretly married.
I could be married, correct.
Why would you not tell me either way?
Why would I advertise to the feral psychopaths of the world who have tried their very best to destroy me for an opinion about my private life and the things that are most sacred to me? Why
Well, you
would
think
I do
if
that?
you said you were married, everyone would hate you?
I don't, but people hate me. It's about me understanding that I'm a hard target, but I am very, very protective of the people I care about.
Right. But you believe in the concept of marriage.
Completely. That's what we were talking about the whole time.
What do you think?
We talked about a man giving a woman away. Okay. I believe in marriage more than anybody. In fact, I believe in marriage no, please. Okay. I believe in marriage in the traditional sense. I believe a man has a duty to stand up and be a real man. I believe that the problem with the world today that we are facing is that not enough men are sticking to the age-old ways of masculinity. Mm-hmm. I believe that me standing up and saying a man must protect a woman and provide for her, so he needs to make sure that she's safe. He needs a degree of authority to protect her. I have
no problem with...
but people do have a problem with it. That's the world we're in now.
Andrew, I'm over here.
Sure.
I don't have a problem with what you just said. Here's where my problem comes, right? There are...
I just briefly want to say, you heard what he says. Andrew, I'm over here. Why do you have a problem? You don't want him to talk to the camera and talk to the people? It really bothered him. You got to watch all this body language.
No, he's afraid that he's actually selling himself.
Yep.
And I'm telling, he's a businessman. And just like any other businessman, we are not sitting here watching this English muffin without commercials. And if the commercial is that I'm going to promote what I do, because this is what he's asking him about. Mm-hmm. What he talks about in his private life with his woman or his very closest friends or anyone else is probably totally different than when the cameras are rolling. I said that before. I don't think he's talking this, if he's talking you're my property kind of thing, it's in a hot kind of way, honey.
And you know what? I bet you Andrew Tate will probably go in about him with Marco, but he's not going to go there in an interview. But he's probably like dudes like you. The reason why I don't want to say nothing.
I don't get responses. And if he was going to respond to somebody saying something, it'd be another kickboxer. It wouldn't be some blobbed out, washed up English muffin. Okay?
Resume.
There are a lot of clips of you floating around on the internet, as you know. One of them has you saying, bang out the machete, boom in her face, grip her by the neck, shut up, bitch. In another, you say, slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. When people see those clips and hear you say those things...
Agreed.
Well, I don't think that... It's not hard to misunderstand it.
It is.
You might say that it's consensual. Other people would say, whether it's consensual or not, that's a very ugly way to talk about women.
Completely. Now let's
hitting them with machetes.
No, watch the whole video. It's a girl coming at me with a machete and me saying, here, slap the machete out of her hand. She's attacking me. So you don't understand. This is the exact point.
I do understand.
No, people don't watch them in full. And this is actually what's interesting. And please don't interrupt me.
Get him, Andrew.
Social media has changed in modern times. YouTube 5 years ago was 5, 6, 7, 8 minute long videos. Now we have TikTok, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, YouTube shorts, Instagram stories. Now anything you produce that's long form is cut down to very, very short form. They're interested in clicks. They're interested in engagement. They find the most controversial clips they can on purpose.
You benefited from all that.
Everybody benefits from social media views, as do you.
Was it the Hustler? What is it?
I had an online school
called
Hustlers University.
Right. And their whole job was to promote your clip.
They hated on him making money with them, when all these other guys are in the manosphere begging for fucking cash.
I never said I hated it.
You've clickbaited like the best of them.
I never said I hated it. I'm saying what happened. I don't hate it. I don't hate social media. I think it's a very powerful force. I don't hate the social media. I'm saying
The point is, I think you can talk. Look, you can talk to girlfriends of yours, maybe a secret wife. I don't know. It's entirely up
or
to you.
two.
Or two. Maybe you've got 10 wives. That's your business. I don't care, right? My only thing is, I don't care what you do in private. If it's consensual between you and another woman, you can do what you like, right? It's your life. I believe in freedom and liberty. It's when you say it in public, it's the influence that this kind of thing has on young men.
Agreed.
Right? And I speak to someone with 3 sons, right? It's who are, by the way, they're intrigued by you. They're fascinated, right? You're a big thing in that world of TikTok and so on. So they all are aware of you and what you say. So they're all looking. And when they see things like the machete thing, I get the context because I'm a 57-year-old guy.
Now, this is my thoughts and opinions. When he said about his children, I think that was personal. I think your kids, I think your sons really like Andrew Tate, and that pisses you off.
Yeah, they're looking up to a manly man, not a pussy little.
He got pissed off, and I think this
have
was
more admiration for the life he's living than their own dad.
Yeah, you have to listen to
around
it.
being a little bitch to women, and this guy is like, well, work on
Raise
yourself,
family,
work
you have
on
to
your
listen to key words.
masculinity.
So when he brought that, I think that really bothered him.
In English, I guess it's called the little bratwurst energy.
Oh, God. You with the sausages again.
I'm saying, I mean, guys.
Donna,
I'm not gonna get X-rated on here.
Oh, he's all mine now.
Not gonna get X-rated, but usually guys who are well endowed in their area ain't gonna be stressing.
No, that's the deal. It doesn't have anything to do with the endowment at one point in time. He's given off the energy. And Piers is not having the energy. He doesn't have the energy that this guy has. This guy sits up straight. He's very engaging. He's looking him in the eyes. He doesn't want to get trapped.
And I like the fact that he's also looking into the camera.
He's not bringing up
us, telling us stuff.
Right, exactly. I'm not going to sit around here. I'm going to let you know my stance because obviously he's not listening. And he's being very matter of fact about the fact that when we're sitting here jaw dropping like anybody else you would have had up there would have been all up in your messy head.
Let me ask you, Jack. Isn't that kind of rude to tell the person to focus on me, look at me, not the camera? Isn't that kind of rude? The camera's there for us to audience.
I mean, he can look at anywhere he wants to look at.
That's what I'm saying. I never heard
as long as he ain't looking between your legs.
That's the thing. He says, I'm not going to here. I'm going to
now he's looking at between another man's legs, and okay, that's another story by itself.
Well, he's looking at the camera's there, the audience.
I think it makes this little English muffin feel insecure because he turned around and it started engaging with his viewers. As if to say, I'm now going to discuss it with you because obviously he's beating this dead horse.
You know them biscottis? You know those little biscottis they have in England?
They're dry.
Yeah, the little biscotti cookies. The little biscotti cookies they have. That's Piers Morgan.
Yeah, he's nothing but a muffin. And this is why I think that he has a problem with this Hustlers University, but I don't have a problem with it, even if they want to say it's any kind of like pyramid scheme where if you get in, you bring another person in, and they give you a free month. Everybody else,
he's a sourdough muffin.
Everybody else you do business with now online, you get an associate's link to share, and when you share and someone joins, you get a piece of the pie. So you know what? What is he doing that's so different than Rakuten? You know, many of my friends I turned on to Rakuten cashback. They got cashback. I got cashback. What was the problem? As long as everybody was well taken care of and everybody was happy, what do you care? What kind of scheme? Nobody's losing here.
Exactly. Let me resume.
It's a way to share.
Resume.
Who's been around the block a bit, and I can get what you said, and you were responding to a particular scenario which you'd created where a woman.
But it can be misunderstood.
I understand. So my point to you is, given that you know it can be misunderstood, do you regret saying things like this on camera where it can be disseminated by less intelligent young males who think that is actually what they should be doing to women?
And finally, we get to the point of the issue, which is the point I tried to make at the very beginning. When I made a video before I was famous that got 500 views, me being concerned that 1% of people will misunderstand it was not relevant. where you start getting 5 million views a video, 50 million views a video, 1% of people misunderstanding
doesn't change what
becomes no, it doesn't, but it becomes a much larger problem.
So
with great fame comes great responsibility.
Right.
So
I agree.
Would I, now that I'm famous,
yes.
do I say things the same way as I did back before I was famous? Absolutely not.
Right.
As neither would you or nearly any other famous person on the planet.
So
once you become famous, you have to be a lot more careful with how you say things.
I understand. So my logical follow-up to that remains.
Also, when
you
is
regret
it your
them saying it the way you said
responsibility?
it?
I can't live in
worry about
regret
the
by saying
intelligence
something
of the
before I was
people who are
famous on a
listening
camera,
to
which
you.
barely anybody watched, and then I became famous afterwards. That would be a very asinine way to view the world.
So
I can't live in.
So you stand by all those things.
I can't live in regret because I didn't know I was going to become the most famous man on the planet. That regret would be the wrong word. Is it inconvenient? Sure. But I can't sit here and say, I wish I knew 6 years ago I'd be the most famous man on the planet and monitored all of my speech forever. That's asinine.
You see, but one of the problems that people have with you is that
money.
they think you have a malevolent influence on young people. This was the excuse that was put out by the big tech companies.
Excuse being the key word.
Well, it may be, actually. You know, I intrinsically, I have a problem with censorship. I don't think Donald Trump should be banned from Twitter, for example, because the Ayatollah of Iran remains on Twitter and other social media platforms. And whatever I think of you, you're not the Ayatollah of Iran, right? So to me, there's got to be perspective here. And I don't understand the inconsistency by what companies like Twitter, how they treat the leader of Iran.
Can I say
and someone like
something
you?
about
It seems to me they're much more draconian on people like you than they are with people who perhaps should not be allowed.
The comparison to Trump, and I got a funny feeling about this. It's funny. They're actually mobilizing white boys because I think his market is mostly like these little gamer boys that are teenagers or coming into manhood, 19, 20, 21. They've been sitting behind computers all their adult life and their dating life, whereas most people like from my generation, we didn't date on the internet. So we're not so socially inept as some of this generation that's coming out. So you mean to tell me he's now mobilizing a certain demographic of man, right? To start getting up, getting out from behind the computer, learning how to take care of your body. These boys know how to make money. You're teaching them how to make money with what they do and learning how to engage with women so that you don't come off as socially inept, okay? So he's mobilizing them in masses. And now here we got Trump said a word and mobilized this whole insanity that happened during this insurrection. So whenever people are mobilized to get a certain demographic to do a certain sort of something, it's bannable. But nobody is looking at the mobilization on the other side of that fence. That mobilized people, when they get mobilized to do something where it's a whole movement of sitting around bashing women, sitting around just constantly blaming everything on women, those men are not being considered misogynistic. At least this guy is saying, get your own crap together first before you even approach a woman. How are you going to get the kind of woman you like if you're raggedy? No, on the other side of the fence, a bunch of raggedy, dusty, fat, lumpy, bullcrap talking dudes, always blaming women for everything that's wrong. And the answer is to get out of the country now, okay? To get out of the country and be around a more submissive type. When in actuality, it sounds like ownership to me because you're just there for a moment to pay the money for the time where you own her and then you're gone. So let's look at it for what it really is. Who's really having a real big problem with the demographics, because he's not talking about any other demographics and he knows it. He doesn't care what's going on in other communities, only that this may affect this demographic here, and that be white boys. I'm saying, I bet you 90% of the boys that are signed up to his Hustlers University are, of no color, and they know it. They know it. And they know he's the one that's coming around with a lot of old-fashioned. He's not older. That's another thing. A lot of older men like this lump want to sit around and tell young guys how to be masculine and how to do this and how to do that and how to be a jerk off when you get rejected. But here's this guy living the life he sells, and they got a problem with him. Okay. Yeah, well, give me some more. Yeah, I like that. I see it up there in the corner.
But generally, I don't really agree with no platforming people.
Yep.
But I think what's interesting talking to you is it seems to me like you have gone on a bit of a journey of self-awareness about the impact of some of the stuff you said in the past, and you have said you wouldn't say it again in the same way. Now, you may not want to express regret for that, but it shows me that at the very least, you have evolved to somebody who recognizes that these can be quite damaging in the way that you said them.
Completely. As a professional and as an adult, it would be stupid for me to sit here and say that now that I'm the most famous man on the planet, my words do not have more impact than they did before. With impact, with power comes responsibility, and things need to be worded in a very careful way. Now, when I do a long format interview, I have to sit there and consciously understand that any 10 seconds of that can be cut and used against me. So I have to be a lot more careful with how I say my words and how I construct my sentences. Of course, we agree with all of that. That's exactly what's happened to me. I agree with all of that. I don't want to be seen as a negative influence in the world. I know that there's a whole bunch of men. I get thousands of emails a week from men whose lives I've saved. I get thousands of emails a week from men who are on the verge of suicide and I've saved their lives. We're talking about.
And by the way, I don't dispute that at all. You have almost certainly, I would think, from everything I've read about you, I think you have certainly been probably able to be very helpful to young men who have really struggled for self-confidence and all that kind of thing, right?
Completely.
I'm completely prepared to accept that. But there was also, I think, quite a disturbing piece that BuzzFeed did. And it talked about the negative impact of young, impressionable male minds when they've read or seen some of the more inflammatory things you've said. And they quoted, for example, Sandy, 22, from Washington. My father's gone from a man who minored in women's studies in college, who was kind and in touch with his emotions, treated all people, men and women around him, with kindness, to a man who says that whenever he sees an effeminate male stranger, he gets an overwhelming urge to murder them. He loves podcasts. He listens to a lot of podcasts. I know he's listened to Andrew Tate.
So, whoa. Let's stop for a second. Let's be professional here, Piers, because you're a professional as am I. First, she said, did you say that my father when? She said, my father has
Her
gone.
father.
That's a full-grown man, firstly. So we're talking about my impact on children. You just talked about a full-grown man here. Secondly, I've never talked about murdering effeminate men in anything online ever, in any context ever. So I don't know why they have taken some random person I've never met in the world who's full-grown, an adult, and come to their own conclusions who I've never met and lumped his name in with mine. That is absolutely unfair on every level. I didn't read this BuzzFeed. I didn't read this BuzzFeed article, but after hearing the first point, I know it's trash. That is complete garbage. I'm the reason this man believes what he believes.
I've seen a quote from you, and you can tell me what you feel here about this.
Sure.
You talk about people don't want to see men dressed up in dresses. Transgender.
That's not exactly what I said.
What did you say?
I said the reason I am so popular and I'm so famous is that there's a large contingent of men who don't want to wear makeup, who still want to make money, go to the gym, be strong, drive a fast car, be traditionally masculine, and don't want to be shamed for that, and they don't want to be called toxic for that. That is the reason I'm so massively famous. That is what I said.
What do you think of transgender people?
That's nothing to do with me.
He's trying to back him into a corner and label him. Yeah, now he wants to label him some sort of phobic. You know, this is what I'm saying.
Kind of,
I don't live in fear, my friend. I have no problem.
You have a dislike of transgender people.
I don't know any transgender.
Look at him. He can't stop.
You have a dislike of what they stand for, what they are.
No. Why would I?
I don't know.
That's not my issue. That's not my issue. And that's actually quite interesting.
Trending. That'll get you canceled.
A lot of these stupid articles.
Transgender people have more rights than anyone else. You can't talk about them, but we can talk about other things.
When they attacked me, they lump a whole bunch of things together. They say misogynistic, racist, transphobic. They just put them all together at random. I'm mixed race. I don't know where they get these. They just get these buzzwords and put them in a sentence.
By the way, I completely agree.
It's crazy.
And I've had the same thing.
Yeah, but he's doing it. Isn't he trying to bring up these scenarios?
It's not an issue I discuss. What I do discuss is that.
So you support transgender people?
I support individual liberty. I'm a libertarian.
Yeah. So you support transgender people?
Sure. Why not?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but my point is, as a whole, you're saying that I'm saying I don't want to see men in dresses. I'm saying no.
You support gay people?
Sure. Yeah. I'm saying there's a large contingent of men in the world who like the idea of the traditional masculine view of the world, who feel happy when they watch 80s action heroes with big muscles and they run around. And there's nothing toxically masculine about having a fast car and a beautiful girlfriend and making a bunch of money. And
nothing at all.
Absolutely. And those are the people who are my fans. But
the problem is, okay, I'm going to interrupt you just to say this. No.
Okay, but you're saying that I have a problem with men in dresses. I'm saying no. The people who watch my content.
That question you've answered.
Yeah, but the people who watch my content don't want to see men in dresses. Clearly, I don't wear a dress. That's the point I'm making.
That's not why they're watching your content.
No.
You're not wearing a dress.
No, but that's the point I'm making. That's the point I was making. There's a large contingent of men who are not interested in the things that perhaps the YouTube algorithm's trying to feed them.
I think there are lots of. Look, when you support masculinity and masculine traits, I'm with you. right?
Okay, so you agree a man should protect and provide for a woman?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you agree if you were walking down the street with a woman, you'd be responsible with her safety?
Yeah.
Cool, absolutely. So if that woman wanted to walk alone,
I don't think I have authority over the woman as we do that.
Okay, so let me ask you another question, Piers, because we are professionals. Let's say your woman decided she wanted to take a nice little walk through the south side of Chicago at 2 a.m. and she wanted you to go with her, and you were responsible for fighting and dying on the spot if she was attacked. Don't you think you would say to her, no, we're not going out right now, it's not safe?
Yes.
Okay, so you'd have authority to make the decision. So
no, I wouldn't.
So
I would say I don't
agree.
think you should. If she decides to, it's her own volition.
Well, if she decides, you're not going to stop her.
I have no power to stop her.
Completely.
But you think you do.
No, I don't think I have power to stop her.
You clearly do.
No, I think I have power to make the decision. I think, no, that's not sensible.
So if you have the power to make the decision, you have the power to stop
It's called the power of
because that's
persuasion.
where we differ. And that's why I think it's interesting about you. I don't think you really think through what you're saying.
I think through what I'm saying
Because
so carefully.
Yeah, but Andrew,
Piers.
what you've literally just said is that you have the power to stop
No,
her.
I said I don't have the power to stop her. I'm not going to lock her in the room. I'm saying that.
So if she wants to go on her own,
then she's going to go.
He's
Then
back to
but
this
as a
shit
couple authority
again.
to stop her.
Okay, but as a couple, if we're going to sit there and decide if we're going to take this,
You asked me, would I feel a sense of responsibility for her safety? Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So
would
let me
I
finish,
have the
Piers.
power or authority to stop her doing it? No.
No, of course not. So let me finish, Piers. You're not going to stop her walking out the hotel. Of course, it's her decision. She's a sovereign individual. My point is that usually in a couple, you sit there as a team and you discuss, and perhaps on certain issues, the woman will know more about X and she'll decide X, and the man might know more about Y and he'll decide Y. So I'm saying if we're as a couple and we're sitting there and deciding as a couple, as a team, and she says she wants to take this late night stroll, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to veto this one. I'm going to call veto.
Do you believe in
it's dangerous, which to a degree would give me in that particular scenario a degree of authority. If she said, I don't want to listen to you, Andrew,
It doesn't give you authority.
she says, I don't want to listen to you, Andrew. I want to go on that walk. Then what can I do? Say, well, then
you don't
hope,
have authority.
Then I wish you the best, my love.
Then you don't have authority.
Cool. Then it's a semantic argument.
Not really.
I think
it's the complete opposite of what you said you had, which was authority.
No problem, Piers. No problem. But I think
Let
we
me ask
actually
you about what do you believe about depression? Do you believe depression is a real thing?
I believe that
Well, I
feeling
wanna talk
depressed
about
is real.
this.
I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real now.
Really?
Correct.
You don't believe people can be clinically depressed?
I think PTSD is very real. Unfortunately, I have some friends who suffer from that. I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life, and also many of my friends, like I've said, suffer from PTSD and been through terrible things. I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have, that the things that made them feel better.
Here we go again. I think he's up against Big Pharma. A pill does not cure everything. To change someone's mindset, get them up, get them moving, get them excited about life, get them to start changing who they are and changing what they're doing on a daily basis will be the bigger contributor to getting rid of depression than a pill.
What I'm going to say about with this one, this is the only thing that I kind of like disagree with Andrew. Only two things I disagree with Andrew Tate is one with, having several women, but I mean, it's not really a disagreement. It's just not me personally sharing a man, whatever. But at least he's being honest and letting.
That's why I'm going to kill him.
Too. As long as he's being honest to the women, letting them know, because you got ladies, y'all be out here with some guys and they telling you one thing and they do another. So you already in that kind of relationship, don't know it. But already said that before. But now let's get into this one. I don't think I kind of disagree with Andrew Tate about with this depression thing, but I see where he's coming from. He's just basically saying, this is my thoughts and opinions is, don't let it take over you, work out, do something, try to shake it off of you, go down other avenues. Don't be too quick to label yourself as depressed and start taking some pills. But I do feel it is a chemical imbalance in the brain that something could be, happening with you, because some people could actually work out, living a great life, have money, great cars, great wife, great this, whatever, vice versa. And they still can't seem to get that funk, that cloud off of them. And they might need a little medication, a little help. And
Oh, no, I agree. I agree with you, Donna, wholeheartedly. I just think that.
Second, Abby. But I'm just saying is, that's something I kind of like disagree with him, but I see the point of where he's coming from. He's just saying is, before you start labeling yourself and say, oh, I'm just depressed, just fuck F the world, excuse me for cursing, F the world or whatever, try this, try that, try to find something to make you happy, and maybe you can get out that funk. If not, well, then maybe you need to go and seek some some serious help. That's just my thoughts.
And how huge an industry is psychiatry that a pill is the answer to everything. And that's why I think what I think they're nervous about. They're nervous about the idea that many of these kids might be clinically depressed, maybe need medication, maybe a whole lot of it. But some of them, instead of just saying, I'm depressed and I'm just going to lean into it and make it an excuse for everything I don't do, maybe it's time you change what you're doing to change the outcome of what's happening. And that goes up against this idea that all you got to do is sit down with somebody and say, I feel the moody blues. Or are you getting out? Are you getting any exercise? Are your endorphins worked up from exercise? All these different things that someone may ask you before they just write you a prescription. Big Pharma. It's Big Pharma. I'm telling you, he's actually going up against them.
And I think Andrew Tate is going to talk about it. He has talked about before that he gets plenty of letters that people listen to him and they it took him out of depression. They follow certain things. So not knocking people's depression. He's just basically saying, this is my thoughts. I don't know. I don't sit down and break bread with Andrew Tate, but I'm just going about what I'm hearing, what he's saying, and a lot of people feel the same way he does too. So this is nothing new, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get all bent out of shape. People get all crazy and stuff. And this guy, Piers Morgan, is just trying to find he's just trying to grasp at straws just to try to insult him, to try to bring him down, to get people to hate him. But I'm sorry, Piers, it's not working, okay? And it definitely ain't working over here.
Labeling everybody.
All right.
He's just desperately trying to label him. He's a misogynist. He's racist. He's homophobic. He's transphobic. Just all these main words. All the trigger words that he claims, that Andrew should say, I should have said that. All the trigger words. He's not saying he shouldn't say that. He's labeling him. He's looking to label him from the door.
And we have to give Andrew Tate credit because it's not breaking him. I love it. Now that's what you call a real man. It didn't break him. He's not getting off.
Absolutely not. He's
not
holding his own.
He's not attacking him, not cursing him out or whatever, or running off the stage. He's just like, okay, this old guy.
Why would he? Who's interviewing him? Look who's interviewing him. He knows he's got the upper hand.
Resume.
Better is when they woke up and said, you know what? I'm not going to allow this to damage me anymore. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight this as hard as I can.
And by the way, on that, I agree.
So we agree.
My favorite speech is the Rocky Balboa one.
Okay, so then we agree. No, we didn't.
Here's where we don't agree.
Piers.
You don't. No, hang on. You got to let me interject when I don't agree with you, right? Where I don't agree with you is that there's no such thing as clinical depression. There absolutely is.
Well,
it's a proven scientific medical reality. There's a different argument about have we gone a bit too soft, right, in schools and all the rest of it. Absolutely. Do I think some people moan and whine too much about their lot in life? Definitely.
Okay.
Are we a victimhood society? 100%.
Okay.
Is there such a thing as clinical depression? Absolutely.
So,
and my argument is that if you actually bracket everybody who's not clinically depressed and doesn't have the genuine medical condition, then actually if millions of people are deemed to have depression, the ones who really need the help don't get it. Well, that's my point.
Well, that I would agree with. You're right. I think it's certainly an overused term.
But you don't accept there is such a thing as clinical depression.
No, I don't.
And that to me is a damaging view.
Okay. Well, let me explain why. If someone comes to me and says, I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And what you need to do is stop identifying that way and let's work together to try and fight against it.
There isn't an eminent doctor in the world who would tell you there is no such thing as clinical depression. Who would not tell you that some people it's simply beyond their control.
Johann Hari wrote a book saying exactly that, my friend.
He's not an eminent doctor.
No, but
he's a journalist.
I said depression wasn't real long ago and was attacked for it. Then Johann Hari wrote a book which
What's
actually...
What's going to do with Johann Hari?
Because he
the
wrote
pharmaceutical industry needs to make their billions of dollars. That's why.
And my point is that a lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life. And if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. That's not a disease.
Yeah, but Andrew...
That's situational.
Andrew, you're simply wrong.
If that's what you believe, Piers.
That's what I believe.
I don't believe in things that take power away.
There is not an eminent doctor in the world
Piers
that would agree with it.
Piers.
Do you think you know more than doctors?
I can't
Doctors. Here we go again.
Yeah,
Which
doctors
farmer?
like to
I don't
make
believe
their
it.
billions of dollars.
I
They're
can't be
drug
haunted by a
dealers
ghost
and
if I don't believe in
lab
ghosts.
Well,
coats.
that's like saying I'm never going to die because I don't believe
Exactly.
in it.
Tell everybody
Perhaps,
they need
but
a
if it
pill.
allows me to
and
live a
who's
life
making
where I
money.
feel happy and
But here's
content
where you
within
see this is,
myself.
But they don't
again,
want
this is
Hustlers
that little
University.
area where
It's-
you lose me.
No, I don't lose you.
You are
because
when
Piers,
somebody with your
Piers,
following
the
says there is no
thousands
such
of people,
thing.
the thousands of people who have emailed me saying my doctor told me I was clinically depressed and it's a disease that I have got in my brain and I can't be fixed. And I started listening to you and I realized that that's not the case and I can fix my own life. And you're the only person who has ever helped me.
Oh, Andrew.
Thousands of people have
Andrew,
emailed me
if
that
you
exact
think-
email.
If you think you are single-handedly curing people of clinical depression, you are living in cloud cuckoo land.
I am reading
No,
emails
he's
of people
going
who
up
I
I'm
have
not
against
saying
big
he's curing
pharma.
people,
Reading
you
emails from
idiot.
people
You
who
numb
have
nut.
believed you when you say there isn't such a thing, and they've probably never been
That's that
diagnosed. with
Vienna
depression.
sausage
They
energy.
just want to go along with what Andrew Tate says.
I don't think so.
I think your view of that view is dangerous.
I respect that you think my view is dangerous, and I respect you have the right to view that, to think that. I think that clinical depression, I actually agree with you, is massively overdiagnosed. I've already said that PTSD is a very real thing. I've already said
I didn't. No, hang on.
Okay.
Again, you're misquoting me. I did not say clinical depression is massively overdiagnosed. I said that people who claim to be depressed but don't have clinical depression, I think that is massively overblown, right? In other words, there are a lot of people who just have a bad day and declare, I've got depression. And I say, well, have you been to a doctor? Have you been clinically diagnosed? If you have, and you have clinical depression, that's one thing. But if you haven't, we could probably work on some mental strength and resilience skills with you. But a clinically depressed person has an absolutely proven medical condition that is beyond their control.
Not according to me and many others, my friend.
Well, look, what do you know about it, honestly?
I know.
You're not a doctor, are you? Not trained, are you?
I'm not a doctor.
You're not a psychiatrist. You're none of those things.
Sure.
You're a guy on the make. He's done very well for himself, spouting stuff off, much of which I agree with, as you've seen in the interview, but some of which is ludicrous, and that's one of them.
It's not ludicrous.
It is.
It's not.
If you said to me, we're in a victimhood society, has got to stop, I'm with you.
Okay.
At the moment you try and deny clinical depression.
I believe feeling depressed is real. I do not believe it's a disease that you catch from the sky and you cannot affect. I believe that no matter what happens, I believe you have control of your own mind and you can fight against it. I believe if you change your circumstances in your life, you may feel different. I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy who emailed me saying he was clinically depressed and he was going to kill himself. I obviously am not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I told him, because I replied to my emails. I said, have you been to a psychiatrist? He said, yes, I'm clinically depressed. I've been on these pills, this amount of time. I'm on antidepressants. It doesn't work. I said, I don't know what to say to you besides this. And he said he lost his girlfriend. That's why I became clinically depressed. I said, listen, go to the gym, get a six-pack first. Once you've got a six-pack, email me again. If you still feel like killing yourself, I don't know what else to say to you. But I'd say, strong body is a strong mind. Go train. He went, he started sending me progress pictures, emailing me him getting in better shape, and eventually got a six-pack. He's now a professional bodybuilder. And he said, I can't believe I was considering that. I feel so much better, etc. The doctor was telling him he was clinically depressed and couldn't cure it. He started taking control of his own life, and now he felt better. Now, I'm not saying it's the case for everybody.
No.
I'm just saying.
Here's my question, though. Have you seen the guy's medical records?
Of course not. I just told you the story.
So you're just taking his word for it?
Oh, I am taking the word of a man who emailed me with a bunch of medication and specific
So you're
doses.
denying proven science because one guy writes to you who you help and you've not seen any evidence he ever had clinical depression diagnosed.
I'm denying the idea that.
And on the back of it, you go on your rants in public to tens of millions of people denying something because this guy writes to you and says he had it and you cured him. And I think that's a dangerous mindset, Andrew.
That's fine.
And that's where you don't have a responsible view of your.
Yeah, but every guy like that takes away from the
It's very
doctor, the
responsible because I'm saving people's
prescriptions, and
lives.
everything
I
else. And
disagree
that's
that
what
if
they're
you're
afraid
dying,
of.
if you feel depressed, I disagree that you cannot affect it and change your life and take control and fix yourself and feel happier. I disagree with that.
Do you think
I refuse to accept that there are people out there who cannot become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person. And I also will argue with you, and I'll counter the point that you sitting here on your platform telling people they have clinical depression, there's nothing they can do about it, is far more dangerous. Okay, well then, if they have clinical depression.
Why do you misquote me?
No, because you're saying.
You hate being misquoted.
No, you're saying if people have clinical depression, that
I never said
they
there's
have a
nothing to do
disease.
about it. They go to a doctor and they get diagnosed and they get help.
Then I would argue the point that if
It's the complete opposite of what you just said. I said.
I would argue the point that if somebody has depression of any kind, whether it's clinical, whether it exists or not, whether they feel depressed or not, whatever, that taking control of their life, taking personal responsibility, and working hard is always going to be the positive, best thing they can possibly do for their life going forward.
How positive is
around
it?
them. So sitting here saying, I don't believe in clinical depression, you don't believe in depression. No, I don't. I believe that people can take control and fight against things. Right. I believe in personal sovereignty.
Right. Fine.
Good. So we agree.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Piers, you're on my side. You're afraid of being canceled along with me.
Exactly.
I agree with a lot of what you say.
Completely.
So I'm taking you to task
Bingo,
over
you
the stuff I
nailed it
don't
on the
agree
head,
with. And I'm
Andrew
just not
Tate.
sure you understand why it's wrong, which is in itself quite revealing. Let me talk to you about Alex. Let me talk to you about Alex Jones, right? Who I have a bit of history with. He tried to get me deported from the United States.
Oh, did he?
Ooh.
Yeah. What is your view of Alex Jones?
I think that Alex Jones is a sovereign individual who, very much like the rabid left, deserves a chance to speak on his points of view. I think that the truth on issues is usually somewhere in the middle between two extremes. And
So you think Sandy Hook was staged?
I don't know anything about Sandy Hook.
Really? You know he's just been sued by the families for millions and millions.
I have no idea.
You don't know anything about it?
No.
So why would you support someone in public when you know nothing about the most infamous
When
thing
have I
attached to
supported
it?
him in public?
You have supported him in public.
I've been on his podcast.
Yeah, but you said nice things about him.
I say nice things about lots of people.
What do you think of Alex Jones?
I said nice things about you, Piers.
That's fine.
So,
you're a nice person.
to sit and say that I've been on a podcast and I say nice things about
But
him
you
means
said
I
you support his right to speak about things like Sandy Hook.
I don't know Sandy Hook. I don't know. And
You know what it was
it was a mass shooting
of school children.
Okay, but to sit and
he,
it's actually no. Let's stop for a second. Please don't interrupt me.
Here's
why
pick up the
you're-
speed a little bit.
I know why you're good at your job. First, you interrupt people a lot, which is good. It's a good skill,
Actually,
and you're very, and then there you go. Prove me right.
But here's exactly
and the timing's good.
Here's exactly what I do. I only interrupt people like you when you either refuse to answer the question or answer a completely different one.
Sure.
And I want to remind you of what the question was.
Fair, that's
or
fair.
when you misquote me back, which you've done repeatedly through the interview, where you say, "You see, Piers, you agree with me," and the viewer who's been watching will go, "No, he didn't."
Cool, no problem. The other thing you do is you try and set these traps like now. So you're saying
What's the trap you think I'm setting?
You're saying that I agree with every single point of view a man has.
I literally didn't say that.
You're saying, well, you support Alex Jones.
Why
and
would
he-
you misquote me?
Because you're saying you support Alex Jones, and you said you've been on his podcast, and he said this. I don't know.
What do you think of Alex Jones?
I don't know everything he said.
What do you think
Piers.
of him?
I think on his podcast he was cordial. I think he was professional on his podcast. I've also done podcasts with rabid leftists and people who openly hate me.
Is it wrong?
I do a podcast circuit.
Okay.
So
Is it-
and I don't know everything he's ever said.
When somebody like
and I don't know what. So I don't know what you're trying to say, get me here
I'm
because I
about
did a
to, if you let me
podcast.
get a word in edgeways, I'll tell you.
Guilty by
it's a lame trick.
association,
If you let me
another
get a word,
label.
I will tell you.
Let's go.
Personal.
Alex Jones said that Sandy Hook didn't happen. It was staged by actors.
Okay.
This compounded the appalling grief of the families of those poor 20 children
Okay.
who were gunned to pieces by a lunatic with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. They were already grief-stricken beyond belief, and this guy poured petrol onto that grief quite deliberately to make a huge amount of money from his InfoWars fake news bullshit. And as a result, a lot of the families have now sued him, and they've won. And he's going to have to pay back tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars in damages to these families. And quite right, it won't do anything about the pain he caused them. Some of them actually had people turn up outside their houses with guns because Alex Jones had told them that these parents were making it all up. They were all staged actors. It was all run by the government. So I simply say to you, now I've told you that, what is your view of Alex Jones?
I don't see why any of that
The
has
same
to
could
do
be
with
said for Piers Morgan
it's very
and his
interesting. I've done the guy's
behavior and
podcast.
why
I know
you
him well.
wouldn't
He's
wanna go on
professional and
his
courteous
show.
to me. When I meet somebody and they show me respect, I show them back. Respect. That's what I do, as I did with you.
You respect him?
If somebody shows me respect, I show
Morgan.
them
You don't-
respect back.
So if
I
Adolf,
don't
Hitler,
know.
if Adolf Hitler showed you respect, you'd respect him back.
That's a stupid question.
It's
Piers.
not. It's a logical extension of your argument.
No, if in 1931 I was walking through Germany and a man come up to me and said, "Sorry for bumping into you," I'd say, "Sorry, no problem, mate." I'd show respect back.
What if-
I don't know. What are you trying to say? That
what if in
that I
19
sanctioned the Holocaust?
You literally just said if somebody respects you, you respect them back.
I say if somebody
automatically.
shows me respect, I show respect back. That's a good way to go through life.
Whoever it is.
If somebody shows me respect and is courteous to me, I'm courteous back.
How
yes.
can you respect somebody who caused such misery and pain to Sandy
I have
Hook
no idea the specifics of the thing you're discussing. I don't understand any of it.
Well, when
I
you
don't
go-
know anything about it.
when
You
you
told me your version of events.
When did you go on the podcast?
I was on the podcast about four times in the last 4 years. I did one
So
relatively recently.
So four times you went on Alex Jones's podcast.
Correct.
Promoting him, helping him make
I don't
money.
think it was promoting and helping him because
Well, it's his podcast.
well, yeah, but I've been on the podcast of people who absolutely hate me. I've been on liberal left-wing podcasts. I've been on feminist
That's fine.
podcasts. I know you just sat here saying I would like you to agree. Perhaps we can agree on this point. That I'm not
So
feminist.
judge
I go on
people by
feminist
their
podcasts.
actions,
I
but
do
he
a
doesn't
podcast
want.
circuit. I
You're
do
not
five-
feminist?
The same could
I
be
don't
said
know.
for him.
Well,
What do you think a feminist is?
Well, let's not change subject here, Piers. Stay on the
Fine,
subject.
you mentioned feminism.
Completely. But
What you said,
you're trying to
said-
get away from the point because what you did is you're trying to say because I did a podcast, I sanction all of this person's views. And I'm saying I do 5 podcasts a
No,
week.
I'm
I do
saying
5 podcasts a week, and I don't sanction 100% the views of any other person on the planet because I'm an individual, and he has an individual views, as
Right.
do you. So I don't know why you're trying to come at me
Would
with
you-
one of his views and pretend that's something to do
Because
with
it's
me.
a pretty big view.
No, but
and
it's a
become
lame
huge-
trick, Piers, and you're better than this.
Not
So
a
let's
lame
move
trick.
on.
Would you,
It's
if Vladimir
lame.
Putin-
It's
if
lame, and
Vladimir
let's move on.
Putin
It
had
is
a
a trick.
podcast, would you go on?
Yes, let's move on.
Sure.
You would. Great. Okay, let me know what you're talking
If
about.
Vladimir Putin had a
He wants
podcast,
to
I'd go on
label
it.
him
If Joe
so
Biden had a
bad.
podcast, I'd go on it. If a feminist has a podcast, I'll go on it. If Piers Morgan has a podcast, I'll go on it. If Alex Jones, I mean, I don't see the point you're making. There's no point here. You're digging, but there's nothing to find.
Well, I'm not. I'm taking your position that if somebody shows you respect them.
I think that
I'm saying there are lots of people in the world I do not respect. If Vladimir Putin showed me respect, I would not respect him.
That's your opinion. But
no, it's my view. What's
okay, that's your view. Well, your
view is you would.
You're sitting here, Piers, saying that I'm on Uncensored show. And in your intro, you said that it's important that we don't have echo chambers and we have varying and that we have varying opinions.
Correct.
But then you're saying the people you don't like, you wouldn't go on their podcast.
No.
So you are a hypocrite.
No.
I will go on anybody's podcast and discuss any point.
I don't think you understand what censorship means, do you? Like a lot of words we've had problems with today.
You're just saying what do you think censorship
means?
No, but the point I'm trying to make here.
What do you think censorship means?
Don't hide from the fact that you're saying you will only do podcasts with people you like.
Why do you think that's censorship?
No, that's your prerogative. My prerogative is
I'll do with censorship.
I'll discuss opinions with anybody, and I've done hard left wing. Why are you not asking me about the podcasts I've done for the people who are hard liberal left wing?
By the way, I don't care whether they're left or right. Okay. Extremists to me are all nuts, right?
Then we agree.
Yes.
So perfect.
Good.
Next subject.
All right. Here's my next subject. It's a very serious case here.
Jesus. And before you move on, sorry, Piers, but before you move on, I do find it kind of disingenuous. And I know we're on a show and I don't have a personal problem with you, but it is kind of disingenuous to try and sit here and lump me in with some school shooting. That's nothing to do with me. That's nothing to do with me on any level.
Let me respond.
On any level.
Let me explain.
Exactly.
Piers Morgan, you really got dirty with this one. And I really didn't like that. You trying to lump him in with a school shooting. They'll have nothing to do with him, have nothing to do with why he's being banned, have nothing to do with this interview. But you're just grasping for straws. You're being very disrespectful. And you know where he was going at with this. Well, that's why I said a lot of things was personal on this on this interview. And this was not right.
He couldn't get him on anything else. So now you're guilty by association. And something he said, I'd sit down and talk to anybody. He even talks to supposable feminists that obviously think he's misogynistic. So, guilty by association. He's still associating with people he doesn't agree with their point of views.
And I like
to make his point of view heard.
I like what Andrew just said. Why are you trying to lump me into that situation?
And when he said he'd be on his show, I'm sure he could dig up something. He could be sitting around talking about his shade, and he's not. Let's not forget that in the world we live in, normally people want to sling some mud back at you, and with all the mud that this muffin has slung at him, he hasn't slung any back.
Reason.
Explain. Like you just said, you've been on this podcast 4 times
in 4 years
since he said the whole thing was staged.
I don't know when.
And I think the fact that a smart guy like you wants me to believe you had no idea that Alex Jones, who's been in the news now for the last 2 years for being sued by these families for the most heinous thing imaginable of pouring petrol onto their grief by claiming that shooting was staged. The fact that you're pretending you didn't know about any of that.
It's not about pretending.
You've been on his podcast 4 times, supporting him and making him money. So damn right I'm going to call you out on it.
When I do a podcast, if you think I spend time analyzing the point of view of that person and everything they've ever said for years beforehand.
It's not years, it was minutes in most cases.
Years and years.
When did you last go on his podcast?
You trying to lump me in and attack me for a person whose podcast I do having a view is absolutely childish. Because I've done a bunch of podcasts with people. I've done a bunch of podcasts with people who are advocating for things that I do not agree with on every single level. In fact, most of my podcasts are me disagreeing with people. So it's completely crazy that you're trying to lump me in with that. That's cheap. That's cheap.
You are completely misconstruing the point of what I'm saying. I think deliberately.
No. What you're trying is a cheap trick, and I'm just making it clear to the audience.
It's not a cheap trick. I'm just curious where your moral line is.
It's a cheap trick.
Where's your moral line?
I disagree with the points of view with the majority of the people I do podcasts with. So it's a very cheap trick you're trying here. So
when people invent vile things to make themselves rich off the back of families of little kids who've been blown to pieces with a machine gun or a semi-automatic version of a machine gun, I think that is actually a line I wouldn't cross. I wouldn't be happy to go on someone's podcast when they've been responsible for doing that. It's not about political views or differences of opinion over facts. It's about somebody deliberately inventing a pack of lies to compound the grief of families. And I'm curious, you don't think you have any need
Piers, what does it have to do with him?
Any kind of moral
Let's move on to the
about
next
people
question.
like that
And did he make a pack of lies about
He didn't
Meghan
use me.
Markle
He didn't use me
to
for
destroy her
Because we
family?
disagreed and discussed points like we're doing with you right now.
Did you call him out on that?
Are you using me? We didn't discuss that.
I'm not using. I'm giving you a platform most people aren't giving you right now to show the world who you really are.
Fantastic.
He's got
So
plenty of
neither of
people
us are
giving
using
him
each
a
other.
platform. He's
I'm here.
nuts.
Did you catch that little smart, slick comment he said? I'm giving you a
He's doing
platform that much
right.
people won't give you no more.
Honey, he's
See,
been
he's
on
just
Fresh
doing
and Fit. He's been all over the place since his
Exactly.
cancer.
No. But Pierce was just doing a little smart comment because he's been banned, and he was being a smart ass saying, "Oh, I'm just giving you a platform that you know that everybody else banned you from." Excuse me, really? No, Pierce. He's giving you clicks and views. He's giving.
Isn't this the guy that got his job taken away from him at one point in time for what he did to Meghan Markle?
Well,
Wasn't he sort of ostracized for that at some point?
I'm
And
not
he wants to
sure.
talk about the pain he's causing families. What the fuck was he doing? Oh, sorry, Donna.
Oh no. I
Get
understand.
someone.
No, because this whole interview, thank you for being here with it, because this was really peeing me off. I was like, "Are you kidding me? You cutting off the man every time you ask him a question. You're trying to attack him. This is not an interview. This is attacking, and this was all personal. This was personal with him.
He's desperately trying to label him.
Handle himself well as a real man.
Exactly.
He can come off on him. He didn't get loud with him. He didn't curse him out. And I know Andrew done his research about this man, and he probably can come off really good on him and say, "Well, what's up with you with Meghan Markle? You want to talk about me? Let's talk about you." But he didn't go there. That's why at the end of this interview,
especially on the misogynistic topic, he could have definitely showed what a misogynist you are compared to me.
Top is Andrew.
You literally went after a woman with all guns blazing, all your power, all your manness, and for what? Because she didn't want to date you? I mean, really? I mean, does the B energy get that? It doesn't get anymore. It's the bitchy man energy. It's like, what if that to me? And then he's misogynistic because he knew he had power in the press to do this to her. And this is why. So who's really the one? Andrew Tate may talk a whole lot of things about she's my property. That might get him killed, but she's this and she's that, or I don't want 25-year-olds or whatever that he may say, but he's not literally out there stalking and defaming a woman. All the energy he puts
by the way, he doesn't have a bunch of kids from different baby moms. He don't have no kids.
No, and the energy he puts out there is not towards tearing other people down. It's about improving himself. He could be tearing Brosnan down to under his desk if he wanted to, but instead he's gonna learn from this opportunity and make it an opportunity to turn it around and stay standing on his platform, and that's what it's all about.
Exactly. Resume. It's almost done, ladies and gentlemen. We're wrapping up soon. Resume.
Here on your show, I'm providing you with content. You're giving me a platform, and nobody's using each other. It's mutual. We don't agree on a whole bunch of issues.
It's fine.
And here we are.
I think we've had a robust exchange.
Yeah, just like I've done on nearly every other podcast. And if someone were to come and say to me in the future, there's something, heaven forbid, there's a skeleton in your closet, and someone were to come to me and say, "You were on Piers Morgan's show. Did you know he's X or he's done X?" I would say that's absolutely nothing to do with me.
Right. But
I'd make the same point protecting you. I don't know what you do. I don't know your personal life.
I can guarantee one thing. I will not be inventing stories about the families of kids.
I hope not. I hope you're a righteous person.
I'm
I don't know.
I'm not claiming to be a righteous person.
I don't know.
I'm just saying that I just think it's interesting that you have no moral compulsion about going on people.
It's not about moral compulsions. It's about I don't know what you do, Piers. You could have a bunch of skeletons in your closet, my friend. I don't have a clue. I'm here on your TV show.
I'm sure we all have lots of skeletons. Let me ask you.
Please, somebody clue Andrew in.
Interesting about the feminism thing.
Sure.
Do you identify as a feminist?
I think that women and men are fantastic. Both of us are fantastic. I think women reproduce. I think women need to be respected, protected, provided for. I think that modern feminism is kind of hard for me to even truly understand.
What do you think it means? What is feminism?
I think that the idea of feminism is that men and women are equal under the law.
And do you believe that?
Completely.
We should be treated completely equal.
Yeah, but we are equal under the law. Wouldn't you agree?
Not really. I think there are still some issues in the world where, I mean, certainly in workplace, the gender pay gap remains. They're not treated equally in most cases, women.
Well, that can be discussed, the gender pay gap. I think that's already been discussed at length. I think that there's actually...
You think women should go to work?
I think women should work completely.
You do?
Why wouldn't they?
Because in the parts of the country of the world you were mentioning earlier that have different views
No.
of women, they don't go to work.
In the parts of the world that person from the podcast was from, for the point I made, yeah, they didn't. But I don't live in those parts of the world. I think women should be free to work if they choose. I think it's very important that the family unit remains. I do believe that in my personal view, the most important and respectful thing a woman can do is become a mother. I think that having children is a beautiful thing. But obviously, if a woman wants to work and wants to have a career, especially now with paternity leave or maternity leave, and she can manage to do both, why wouldn't I want women to work? I don't know why anyone would ever assume I don't want women to work or think women can't work, because I said that I should keep them safe sometimes.
Good.
No, but it's interesting.
I want to talk about that. And with Andrew Tate, when we go by that other, look at my past videos on commentary with Andrew Tate, basically he doesn't have a problem with women working. His whole thing, he doesn't want his woman to have to work, that she has to do 50-50. She has to pay all of this because there's no choice. He's all about providing and protecting for his woman. And he said on that video with the Cheyenne, he said that he just prefers that she would just, work part-time. You understand? So there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a lot of women that would love that type of relationship, but you have so many weak men out here that's not providers, not protectors, and not trying to be, that a woman has to work a full-time job as the man, doing the 50-50 and take care of the kids, take care of the house, go cook and clean and do everything, make all the doctor's appointment while he sits around, grabs a beer from work. So, I had such a hard day, I'm so tired, and then go hang out with the boys. Okay? So that's this whole thing is, if she wants to work, she wants to do something, but he doesn't want her to have to work. Because I can provide for you. If you don't want to work, hey, I got you. But if you do work, I kind of want you to just do it, part-time. And believe me, gentlemen out there, there's a lot of women would love to take that deal. But they can't. So they got to start out here working and take care of y'all men, take care of you like a third child. Oh, boy, resume.
Because you have to look at this, Piers. It's interesting how people extrapolate. Andrew said that he's responsible for a woman's safety, and he said that gives him authority to make decisions for her safety, and that's been misconstrued, and he's a bad person. He believes that women are property. So, but now we believe that Andrew doesn't believe in love. Andrew doesn't believe women should work. Andrew, I don't know where all of that comes from.
Well, that's why I'm glad we've had a chance to discuss
completely. I believe women are sovereign individuals, and they can make any choice they so desire. I think that it's important that we remember that a man has a duty. I think I certainly in my relationship have a financial responsibility to provide for my woman. My woman would never have to work unless she wanted to, because I'm the kind of person who works hard enough that she wouldn't have to.
Should young men, though, all aspire to be like you?
Should young men aspire to work very hard, have no criminal record, become multimillionaires, protect and provide for the women close to them, be sovereign so they can stand up and have their own points of view in face of cancellation, be able to not be mentally intimidated when they go on national TV and there's traps set up for them? Yeah, I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide.
Abby, didn't he break that down so well? That was just beautiful, bro.
That was a slap in the face of the English muffin. He's toast. He's toast. He's now toast.
He came.
I got to give it to him. He gave it. He summed it all up. You want to know this is what they're all intimidated by, and they're literally jealous. It's that feminine energy coming off these men. They're catty as fuck. They're so catty, and the bitch energy is unreal. He knows it.
That was just phenomenal. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're almost done here, but I just have to rewind that part just one more time because Andrew just did so phenomenal.
It's important that we remember that a man has a duty. I think I certainly in my relationship have a financial responsibility to provide for my woman. My woman would never have to work unless she wanted to, because I'm the kind of person who works hard enough that she wouldn't have to.
Should young men, though, all aspire to be like you?
Should young men aspire to work very hard, have no criminal record, become multimillionaires, protect and provide for the women close to them, be sovereign so they can stand up and have their own points of view in face of cancellation, be able to not be mentally intimidated when they go on national TV and there's traps set up for them? Yeah, I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide for women are a good thing for the world and a good force for the world. And I don't think that I put a magic spell on anybody. I think there's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value. And if men grow up to be like me, you're going to have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes who protect and provide for the people close to them, are fantastic for the economy. And I'm certainly not the worst influence out here, Piers. You have Little Nas twerking on the devil on music videos.
Here we
which
go.
our children are digesting. You have drill artists singing about stabbing people to death in the middle of a knife crime epidemic. You have rabid psychopaths on whether the right or the left announcing violence on the other side. You have all these insanities in the world. And because I sit here and say, perhaps now you've laid it out and it offended you, I understand.
I didn't say it offended me.
Okay, cool.
I just read you the things.
You read things that you said they could be offensive and some people are offended.
Well, some people definitely were offended.
Absolutely. That's fine.
And honestly, I think some of the things you said were genuinely offensive and misogynist.
Okay, so they offended you.
And
like I said earlier, so they offended you,
No,
which
hang
is
on.
fine. I said they offended you, you interrupted me, and now you're saying they offended you, which is fine. But the point I'm trying to make is this: I'm not the devil. There are certainly worse people than me, and they exist. And I'm saying that my core tenets are the people who don't understand.
Exactly. They're not even. They don't care about the community that's literally tearing each other apart.
My core tenets are traditional masculinity to a degree, which involves protecting and providing for women. And I'll make another point. Another point here that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate, he's such a nice guy.
We're right
I wish
here,
I had a man like
Andrew.
Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what?
Yep.
Yes, we are right here.
Yep. We're some of those women that's making these videos. Yep.
Yeah, we are. I don't see the problem.
Who has ideas thoughts like this. There's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah,
Like
and he
I
made a
told you,
good point.
The only two things I disagree with, all the stuff, and I watch long form content. I've been studying this man for a minute because I'm gonna say to y'all, ladies and gentlemen, when this first came to my attention, I was gonna approach this a whole different way. I was gonna approach it the dingbat way, the back of the bus, listening to these people with the short form content, reading articles, bashing him, and I was gonna go in. Then I realized, I said, wait a minute. I started doing some content. That's why I don't like to do things too quick when things is a trending topic. Everybody wants to jump on the trending topic. I wait a little while later to see more things come out. And I started doing my research and I said, wait a minute. And I was just bothering Jack like crazy. Like, what's going on? I can't find nothing bad about him. But then when I introduced to Abby, and thank you so much, Abby, and Abby was sending me some commentary, dealing with relation-wise, and I'm looking, I was like, wait a minute. Well, what the heck is wrong with him? What's wrong with him? I don't get it. I mean, we see so many people, just like he just said. You got little Nas coming down the thing, giving the devil a lap dance.
He's actually putting the lens on the other side. He's not stupid. I don't care what this English muffin want to sit there and say to him, but he called him a racist, and that's when he had to say, I'm black and white. So why are you putting the lens on me? You're putting the lens on me, and in actuality, you're looking at me. The only reason why they're so shocked at him is because he is a man of color
and white,
and he's not typical, and he's not their typical thing that they support, because they actually support all that typical behavior on the other side. If you stop little Nas X, you're being a homophobe. If you cancel these drill rappers, I don't know what you're being. If you cancel all that other manosphere garbage being talked about and insulting and saying things to women so out of pocket, it's not even funny. You're not canceling any of them people, but you want to cancel me. Now, what are the stereotypes that I'm not being that annoy you so badly doing that you're not canceling them, but you want to cancel me? And who is my target market? My target market isn't them. My target market is kids that look like your sons. Okay? His sons. He said it. My sons. This is why they're concerned. You're not appealing to the other. You're not appealing to the other side. And we're letting that other side kill each other off. This is literally relationships, the hate on the other side, the gender wars, the whole everything going on. They're not addressing all of that for cancellation, but they want to address him. Why? Because he's talking to their sons. That's when it becomes a problem. And what is he saying to their sons that's really all that bad? So now they want to pander to all of their gay, feminist, women, emotional, politically correct, labeled situations. They want to pander to all of that and make him look like the boogeyman. And what is he actually doing? He's making self-improvement the staple of everything, and everything else is just falling by the wayside or just the filler when he talks about women and all of this in your relationships. The first step is to get, that's right, look like that. That'll work. That'll work.
Yeah, Piers, go and do a couple of push-ups and then come back and do some commentary.
It's always this type of guy. When am I going to see a guy more like himself, as successful as he is,
and
a
you know, you have a
self-made
lot of
man?
you have a lot of these Piers Morgan type dudes in all ages, all nationalities. I'm not just gonna pick on age. Age is nationality. They just, just have something to complain about the next man.
They
Don't worry about what the
wish.
next man is doing. Worry about yourself.
You know what? Piers Morgan may have all of the financial trappings he has. He may have all the intelligent trappings he has, but he doesn't have the attraction of masculinity that he has. And he knows it. And I don't think he ever did, even when he was young. Okay? He obviously never was that type of masculine energy. And that kind of masculine energy, while they are trying to tell us that it's poisonous to us and you women and blah, blah, blah. And what he's saying, yeah, I think the problem really is that kind of masculinity is more triggering for men than it is for women.
Bingo. Exactly. Resume. Great point, Abby. Resume. We almost done, ladies and gentlemen. I know. Ben Pepper. I'll resume.
I do belong to my husband. That's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me and said everything I said is true. And we're taking a very vocal minority who have taken things I've said and are pretending to be absolutely and utterly devastated by them for some reason.
All right. Time out.
Sure.
You've had a good run there.
Sure.
An inquest this week found that a 14-year-old girl, Molly Russell.
Wait, before
died
you
from
get
an
on
act
to
of
this
self-harm
ridiculousness that he's coming out, can I
and the
make one more
negative
analogy
effects of
about the
online
property
content. The coroner
thing?
said she was exposed to material that
Think
may have
of-
influenced her in a negative way.
Think of how these guys will live in a bum house, treat their women like crap, but take good care of their property that is their cars. Think about, or their sneakers. They're clean as a whistle, but your house is a mess. Your car is not lacking oil. It's not lacking food. It's not lacking a way to get around. It's clean as a whistle, but your woman is raggedy. Okay, all this property that you're willing to take care of, but you're not willing to take care of another human being in their emotional state of mind. And that's why. So, okay, you want to make the analogy to property. Okay, but well, how are you handling that? Someone that gave themselves to you, or that their father, that's another thing. What are we talking about here? He made a point that our fathers literally put the responsibility now is on your husband. I'm your dad. I've taken you this far. You've been my responsibility, but he's got to take care of you now. Okay. Now, whether you want to call me property or not, I can understand why that would be a very triggering thing. But if you're really literally taking better care of material possessions than human emotion and human people, then I would worry less about the word property.
Well said. I agree with you on that one. And that's what it is about, the father. That's why he asked the father's hand in marriage. He wants to make sure that she's, make sure the man is going to provide and protect the daughter because he's no longer going to do it. So he's placing her in your hands. That's why it says why woman pays for the wedding. Because
right, and they provide more for a car than they would in protection with alarms and washings and gas and tune-ups and everything else they would take care of better than they would take care of their own wife. So they take care of property better. And if you throw her in with the rest of your property, are you going to take care of her equally as well? So let's say we take the word and we don't get offended by it and she's now your property. How are you going to take care of her? Are you going to take care of her as well as you take care of the rest of your property?
Well said. Resume. Almost done.
And in addition, what started as depression had become a much more serious depressive illness, and she very sadly took her life.
That's absolutely disgusting.
Right.
I speed it up a little bit.
Against potentially dangerous social media algorithms, right? It says that the particularly graphic content she saw romanticized acts of self-harm, normalized her condition, and focused on a limited and irrational view without any counterbalance of normality. First of all, what is your response to that? Nothing to do with you.
That's the first thing. Yeah, it is nothing to do with me. The fact that a 14-year-old girl took her life is truly sad. The world we live in today is the world we live in. The fact
this
that
is another trap.
That's truly sad. I actually feel sad inside to see something like that. the fact that they just said it's romanticizing the gory element. I don't know what she was watching, some kind of suicide videos thing. I don't know where these things are
Do you
created.
think the tech companies should be much tougher about stuff like this?
I don't know what kind of things she watched, obviously. I have to be a professional here. I think that the tech companies need to do their best to protect people, I guess, to a degree, but it's a slippery slope, isn't it? And then they use this slippery slope to silence some people and to
Right, and I think it's a really fine line, and it's a complicated line.
It is very.
I was interested when you did an interview with the Times. Hugo Rifkin, he's a very good journalist. We did a big interview with him, and it was interesting to me his conclusion, because he kind of concluded that although he found a lot of the things he said,
butterflies actually are a warning sign. They're not really good.
This is what I'm saying. He's literally trying to trap him up with a story about a girl that was watching something online and took her own life.
Like them, and he didn't.
Did they think that
kind of
who's going to take their own life about Andrew Tate?
Nor could he actually work out exactly what you'd done, which deserves
I don't think
mass wipeout by
a little English muffin like him that could never accomplish anything.
I don't know the answer to that, other than the reason I mentioned the Molly Russell case, not because that has anything to do with you at all, and I reiterate that.
Thank you.
So I simply ask you this. What has come clear to me in the interview is that a lot of things you say you wouldn't say now that you've said before.
But I'd say them differently, perhaps.
Yeah, right. So to me, that's an acceptance, not just that you want to get back on platforms, because maybe that was one of the reasons you were no platform, but that you've recognized and understood the potential harm to the wrong kind of impressionable mind by some of the things you've said. Would that be fair?
I think that's 80% fair. I recognize and understand that with massive fame, you have to be more careful about being misconstrued. Like I said earlier, 1% of people misunderstanding you doesn't matter with a small audience. It matters with a very large audience. With power comes responsibility. I still believe the things I say. I do not want to be a negative force for the world. I also understand that I am a man who's lived a very difficult, nuanced life, and I am capable of making nuanced points that may be misunderstood by teenagers. However, that can be said about anybody and everything. Every opinion online can be misunderstood by children. Trying to protect children from the internet is a very interesting subject in and of itself, because I would argue that 80% of the content on the internet can be negative or detrimental to a young mind that doesn't understand the world.
Yeah.
I'd argue that all of it. We just talked about music videos and dancing on the devil and,
Listen,
all this stuff. This stuff is dangerous.
By the way, I think you make a very good point on that.
So
a lot of these rap stars, the lyrics, the videos, I think far exceed anything that you've been accused of doing.
Completely.
Because in a lot of cases, some of them promote non-consensual activity with people, right? And I just think that crosses a line you have, as far as I've seen, you haven't crossed that line.
No, I haven't. And this is the thing. And I've been vilified, not because of the things I say, because much more extremist content already exists on the internet. I think the reason I've been attacked and vilified is because of the popularity, because I became so massively famous, not because of what I was actually saying. So as a professional, I analyze that and I understand that, okay, I'm massively famous now and certain things have been taken out of context. However, I still do believe I'm a force for good in the world. And I'm not going to sit here
Have you changed though?
It's not about changing.
Well, it is. We're all involved in an evolution. How old are you now?
I'm 36.
36, right? I bet you're a different person to what you were when you were 26.
Oh, that's
and
absolutely
16,
that's
right?
absolutely a fact.
So we all change. And Mike, you keep talking about being a good person.
Yeah.
I think if you're honest with yourself,
yeah,
that you can see why
He's
people
36.
found
Look how much he accomplished. You have
problematic
people that's
and
40-something,
misogynist. And I think
50-something.
you recognise you
Don't have
wouldn't
nothing to
express
say,
yourself
talk
in that
about.
way again, because you've understood that it's caused a lot of harm. And that's really what I
He
wanted to
wants
get
to put
today,
words in his
was an
mouth and tell
acknowledgement
him
by
to
you that
say
these
this
things
and it'll be
clearly
okay. And
were said in the
let
wrong
him stand
way,
on his own ground.
created
He
the
can't
wrong
stand a man
impression
that's
if you didn't
standing
mean
on
them
his
the way you
own
intended,
ground.
and can therefore have a malevolent influence when you have a huge following.
Yeah, when you have a huge following, you certainly have to be a lot more careful about how you get certain points across. That's absolutely a fact.
Andrew, I appreciate you coming all the way from Romania.
Thank you.
It's been an interesting conversation.
You know what was
and,
missing
thank
from
you for
this
having me.
interview? Didn't
Well, that's
he
it from
say
me.
he
Whatever
was
you're
going to
up
bring
to,
up the
keep it
good
us.
parts of him? He doesn't seem to give him any credibility. He doesn't seem to, all of a sudden at the end, he wants to talk about it when they start comparing it to rap music. And what is that? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the black thing? Yeah, you're not fooling me, Piers. You forgot all along to tell him that this masculine approach may be old fashioned, but maybe it's something that we need now. You know, he's not going there with him. He's trying to tell him what to say. You apologize. Oh, you wanted to use another word. Oh, you've changed. Say you've changed. Say you've done this. Say you've done that. But at the end of it all, he's letting you know, I'm not typical. And you got a problem with this. And what happened to all the good that he is? only in comparison to rap music. Okay, I'm not gonna don't make me.
Oh my gosh. What did BG said Pierce is having a senior moment. He had several on
Big
this.
time.
And
Quite a
what else he
few.
said? He keep repeating the same questions exactly.
Yeah, it's
All
a way
right.
to like push the issue. Like, I want you to say it this way. I want you to say I'm right, and you'll say it this way. And he won't go for it. He stands on his ground. Okay, maybe he could retool his message, but I think if you're standing on your ground, I don't think what he's saying is all that way out there. I think it's something men haven't heard in a long time, and they have heard it, and they've heard it in barbershops and places where men only are. So now men are actually literally talking amongst themselves for women to hear, and women are becoming very taken aback by it all. It's locker room talk, and it's something we're not supposed to really hear, but we're actually starting to hear it now. And it can be very hurtful to us and our egos.
Great point, Abby. We're gonna wrap this up here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Abby. Thank you for being here co-hosting.
Everybody in the chat, what's up, Pam? What's up, BG?
But I'm just gonna let me get my closing thoughts before we close out with this. Yes, and I might end up doing some more Andrew Tate stuff. It depends. Anything comes up, it will happen. But basically the reason why I want to show this because I just wanted one of the biggest things I want to show is how he's being attacked. How people is judging you by short form content, not by long form content. People just their attention span is too short. They're not looking to see what was said before and what was said was after. They just want to jump to it, right? And also want to say is, I don't see anything wrong with this guy. I don't think he should not have been banned from social media. I hope he succeeds and take it to another avenue. Matter of fact, come up with his own social media platform and he can blow up from there. And he realizes, people should have freedom of speech and say what they want to say. Okay, as long as it's not harming no one. He's not a danger to young men. I don't think so. I don't think he's a danger to women. Like he said, he doesn't have a criminal record. There's no women out here saying that, oh, he hit me, he abused me. I'm so mentally traumatized from being with Andrew Tate. No, there's
but I
nothing.
I bet you Meghan Markle was on the edge of her sanity with his attacks, right?
Exactly. All right. So there's no women out here saying that, and I think if there was at a time like this, as big as he on the platform, you would have several women coming out saying it, but they're not. No, he doesn't have a criminal record. He doesn't have a bunch of baby mamas like Nick Cannon. Yeah, I brought up Nick Cannon. I'm just using him as an example, not picking on Nick. There's a lot of Nicks out there. Okay, but he doesn't. He's 36 years old. He doesn't have no children. Why is he not married? Because maybe he wants to make sure he gets married because he knows marriage is serious and he wants it to be a lifetime thing. So he's not going to just marry any old woman and get divorced, get married again, get divorced, get married again. He wants
Why
to make
should
sure
he's having a great Playboy life. Leave him alone. He can have kids until he's 90 years old. Let him have his life.
Abby, let me finish off. So yeah, before I lose my train of thoughts and my closing thoughts. But he's not that type of guy. He came from a life. He has a let me go right here. His father is black, his mother is white. So he's half black, he's half white. So he comes from both worlds. Yes, you can talk about both worlds. All right. He came from hard times. Him and his brother struggling, didn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? But he made something happen out of his life. And that's all he's doing out here is to help these young men out here. Like, hey, if you want this life, you want these fancy cars, you want these type of women, you want to live this lifestyle, well, you're going to have to work for it because that's what him and his brother wanted. That's what they wanted. That's what they craved for. So what they did was they made it happen. They figure out how to do it. And anybody else can do the same thing. But instead of sitting around here, smoking weed, playing video games, bashing women, complain about this, oh, I can't have this, or whatever, you can do it too. Yes, it might not be so easy for you. It's gonna take, it's harder. You just got to work a little bit harder. Now, if you have some sort of mental disability or mentally challenged, or that's a whole. I'm not talking about those type of people. It's harder for them. But I'm talking about if you're not in that situation, you can do it. Just takes time. And like I said, the only two things that I disagree with, Andrew Tate is on the mental illness part. I kind of disagree, but I see where he's coming from. I respect where he's coming from. He doesn't mean no harm. He's not coming from a malicious place from his, being evil. No, he's just saying, hey, dude, work out. Hey, dude, find your purpose. Hey, dude, do something about yourself. You know, try this. Don't be so quick to just think that, oh, the doctor labeled you. This is it for you. You're done. You can't be nobody else. I'm depressed and my life is ruined. No, there's other ways, other things you can do. That's all he's just saying. You know, and having a bunch of women. I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but there's some women that's okay with it. And hey, ladies, y'all been in a relationship with a guy, didn't realize he had a whole bunch of women too. But I have to give him respect. Is at least he's being honest with every woman that he's bringing in his life to say, hey, I'm with you, but I'm going to be with other women. Are you okay with it? And obviously, these women's okay because they're not out here complaining. They're not saying, "Oh, I was with Andrew and come to find out he was cheating on me. He dogged me out. He made babies on me and stuff." No, 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 no. Nobody's saying it. And also, he's not saying, "Well, women is property and they supposed to just listen to whatever." No, he just meant that property is maybe those words are triggering the people. That's kind of strong words. He just saying you're with him, you his woman. He cares about you, and his job is to protect you. He wants nothing but the best from you. He doesn't want you to have to work because you got to do the 50-50. You got to help take care of. You got to put up your weight in the household and the relationship. No, he's like, if you want to work, okay, but do you have to work? No, you don't. That's just your option. So I mean, it's really nothing wrong with that. I don't think that's being a misogynist. I don't think he's spreading hate or he's gearing these young kids the wrong way. I don't see it. I don't know. But whoever's watching this, if you got so far in the replay, if you disagree with me, feel free to put in the comment section. Feel free to email me, but just don't be attacking me. Be respectful, whatever you have to say, and I'm willing to listen to it. Okay? But so far, I've been doing a lot of research on this man for a couple of weeks. Sorry, I can't find nothing wrong with him. I just can't. So if you take going out there, you spread your word, help these young men out here because you got too much stuff out here. They making these men weak. Want these men be on dresses and makeups and stuff like that. I mean, hey, if that's what the men, whatever those type of guys want to do that, that's their business.
Exactly.
But that don't want to be like that, they should not be felt bad because they don't want to go down that avenue.
Or they don't want to talk about those people. Since when is it a bad thing not to want to talk about other people? He kept on, well, what do you think of these people? Well, he doesn't think anything. I don't have a problem with I'm concentrated on masculinity and men that don't, that's not their avenue. And why do you feel I need to sit around here and be gossiping and bitching about other people? This is why I'm saying this conversation could have went left with anybody else. They would have brought up his how he behaves as a man.
Exactly. But you know what we have to say is Andrew Tate held himself well, and that's what I talk about. He didn't raise his voice because you be seeing so many of these channels. People get so upset.
I want to see this Pierce guy sit up there with some of these rappers that he had the nerve to open his mouth about, or go over to the manosphere and see what's going on the other side of YouTube and hear some real misogynistic craziness towards women. Okay, and complaining about their appearance and ageless and all this.
Basically, this interview was Piers, probably his son said, "We love our Andrew Tate. He's the man." No, and that was it for him. He went crazy.
I also think that this was his interview in order because his sons are watching and his sons are a fan of his, and to bring him down a little bit and daddy be more in control and daddy be telling him daddy can make him change his way of talking and all this, and he wasn't going for it.
This whole thing was just personal. It was just personal.
Look, but Andrew was cool. He didn't come out personally swinging on this one, and he could have come out on his personal angst too, and I would have brought that up. It's a real deal that you don't like me is that maybe your sons have a little more respect for my opinion and my direction in masculine coaching than their own dad. I'm going there. You know me, Donna. I'm scandalizing your channel. Yeah, that's me. Send me the emails. Put my email. Don't send them to Donna. Send them to me. I'll be happy to take all your smoke.
Go ahead, Abby. All right, take it from Donna. And with Pam Money said definitely got to catch it for the beginning. All right, Pam, and thank you for support, and thank you for everybody for being here.
BG, for such Pam, a long always a pleasure.
I should have did this as a 2-part, but I didn't. I regret. I should have did this as a 2-part, but because I know this was a long one, we want to make sure we get there. That's why we had to pause and do our reaction. But everybody had this as a great night, a blessed night. And Thursday evening, I'll be going back into domestic violence. There's the late Ashley Harden, and I meant to talk about her earlier this summer, but I didn't get a chance to get around to it. But I'm glad I didn't, because I want to save it now because domestic violence month.
Was that the lady that was wearing the bulletproof vest that recently got killed by her husband?
No, not that story. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a whole other story. No, this woman here, her name is Ashley Harden, and we're gonna get into her.
Oh,
I
okay.
already set that up so you can look through it. Look up my name. You can see it. Set the alert so you can be there. It's Thursday evening where I do my normal Thursday evening live stream. So we're gonna be discussing her, and basically what I want to focus on her is why, because the guy that killed her, basically right after he killed her, he went live and explaining why he did. So I'm going to show that clip too. This is just totally deranged, and basically I want to go about it is dating a sociopath, because he's a clear sign of a sociopath.
And also this need for the court of public opinion to now go live to the world and or anybody who listens to you and plead your case before you even get arrested.
Yeah, that's like the new trend now. Oh, I'm gonna kill somebody. Let's go live. I'm gonna shoot up somewhere. Let's go live.
Oh, remember that one?
Yeah, that's the new thing now. Low lives. But okay. Everybody had this as a blessed night and a safe one. Thank you for coming. Thank you for engaging. Yeah, don't leave. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. Thank you for engaging, and see you Thursday. Hopefully, if you can't come that Thursday, you can definitely catch the replay. All right.
Yes.
And like I do, I normally put the timestamps to help people navigate.
Hit the like button if you're watching and you haven't commented. Hit the like button. Hit the comment section. We'll be watching. Bring me the smoke. I'm here.
Yeah. And Mr. Andrew Tate, my last words for you. We support you. I know. What's the heck?
Stand up, Joe.
What the heck is up with this man? I understand you completely, Andrew Tate. What is up with him? There's so many type of dudes out here. What is this? You call me on this show, you got some personal issues with me. I don't get it. But you know what, dude? It's all right. I know dudes like you. I don't let them get up under my skin. I know who I am, where I am, and where am I going. And good luck to you. Bye.
Absolutely. We're here to support. Absolutely. The banning was uncalled for.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.